Hi everyone, welcome back to X10 Manhwa. Today, we are recapping a story called Hands of a Divine Bestow. Let's get started. This is the story of a guy who got insanely lucky and was reincarnated. But this time around, our boy has only one twisted mission on his mind: punishing all of humanity. First stop on Bakhtin's revenge tour? High school, of all places. Perfect timing too, since the qualification test to become a sealer is right around the corner. While Bakhtin is deep in thought, plotting his next move, a rude hand suddenly clamps down on his shoulder. It's the loan shark scumbag who ruined his family in the last life. Bakhtin, you've been a hard man to find. Did you really think you could just get lost in the crowd? Let me remind you, the punk sneers, if you don't pass this test today, you know exactly what's going to happen, right? Even the dude's name, Kim Fo Cat, and his threats were identical to the past. Back then, Bakhtin would have just bowed his head and taken it. But in this life, he chose dead silence. Seeing his attitude, Focat decides it's time to publicly humiliate our boy. He shouts to the crowd, trying to put him on blast. Yo, everyone, get a load of this guy. It's Bakhtin, the celebrity from the interviews. This all happened after Bakhtin's powers awakened, so everyone knew his name. 3 years ago, he was hailed as a once-in-a-generation prodigy after scoring a ridiculous 1,200 points on the energy level test. But after unlocking a trash-tier F-rank talent, Bakhtin instantly became the school's biggest joke. Nobody even gave him a second glance until now. The moment Focat called him out, Bakhtin became the center of every student's ridicule. His face darkened instantly. And this reaction was exactly what Kim Focat wanted. He needed to make Bakhtin the center of attention to light a fire under him. Because only if Bakhtin becomes a real sealer can this clown sell him off for a better price to cover part of the family's debt. Kim Focat's threats were a carbon copy of his memories. In his past life, our boy felt nothing but shame and despair. But this time? Things were about to be very different. In fact, Bakhtin almost felt a little regretful. In his past life, Focat got eaten by a contamination monster. This time, our boy was going to personally make him suffer every kind of pain before he kicked the bucket. With that thought, Bakhtin violently grabs Kim Focat by the collar and yanks him close. You're awfully loud. Must have had a big breakfast, huh? Focat never expected the timid little punk he remembered to pull a move this bold. After a few seconds of being absolutely stunned, he finally roars back. You little brat, what the hell are you saying to me? As he shouts, Kim Focat raises a fist at Bakhtin. But our guy isn't scared at all. He just lets go of his collar. Then, with the most punchable grin on his face, he goes, Go on, hit me, right in the face. Don't be shy, but if I get hurt, I might not be able to pass that test. And if you can't collect that debt, how are you going to explain that to your boss? Bakhtin's smug smile sends Kim Focat into a rage, but he hit him right where it hurts. The moment he heard that hitting him might make him fail, the clown couldn't bring himself to swing. In the end, Kim Focat had to lower his fist. He just kept muttering that if Bakhtin didn't pass, it was on him. But he had no idea he was messing with a different breed now. Bakhtin casually raises his hand, making a finger gun. He aims it right at Kim Focat's face and declares, You've been marked. We'll be seeing each other again real soon. Don't you dare try to run. With that, he slings his bag over his shoulder and walks off like an absolute boss, leaving a fuming Kim Focat in his dust. The other students were shook. It was like Bakhtin had eaten dynamite for breakfast. They didn't even dare to look him in the eye anymore. Everyone avoided him like the plague. Seeing their reactions, Bakhtin just let out a cold laugh. The true nature of people, he'd learned that lesson the hard way in his past life. Flashing back 3 years, Bakhtin was the golden boy, a national treasure for hitting that 1,200 energy point score. His dream back then was to become a powerful sealer, to protect humanity. He hadn't been crushed by reality just yet. After a catastrophe brought superpowers into the world, most 6-year-olds would awaken their special abilities. As long as their skills, energy level, and combat evaluation met the standard, they could officially become a sealer. Skills are your abilities. Energy level is basically your mana pool, like MP in an online game. The higher your MP, the more you can cast and the stronger your spells. That's why when Bakhtin hit a whopping 1,200 points in his energy reserves, everyone thought he was destined to be the nation's pillar. Even the school's principal, Fo-Hai Kim, an A-rank sealer with the ability to see the future, personally gained. At the time, he claimed that while he couldn't see Bok-tin's exact ability, his future was bound to be limitless. Back then, Bok-tin actually believed his life was about to change forever. His mom could finally hold her head high and buy the freshest groceries. His little sister could get the pants she wanted to cover the scar on her leg. His dad wouldn't have to work construction overseas anymore, and he could finally talk to the pretty and talented girls at school without feeling like a nobody. The days that followed were unforgettable. Bok-tin was all over the news. Scholarships poured in from everywhere, and major organizations were tripping over themselves to get on his good side. He was so caught up riding the high of his victory lap that he didn't even notice when his actual ability had awakened. By the time he realized it, his dream shattered. His ability was a trash-tier F-rank skill, Summon Light Orb. All he could do was summon a tiny, fist-sized ball of light with no heat and 0 attack power. Its only function was to act as a glorified flashlight. All the amazing perks he'd been given before suddenly turned into a life-threatening poison. As someone with a useless ability, he had lost the right to live proudly as a human. In the following days, Bok-tin was buried under an avalanche of public scorn. Everyone called him a failure. The very same companies and sealer squads that had fought tooth and nail for him were now the ones cursing his name the loudest. Soon after, every benefit Bok-tin had was revoked. Even their small old house was mortgaged. His mother became bedridden, and his father was forced by Kim Fo-cat to sign a high-interest loan contract, eventually fleeing the country with his sister. Bok-tin was then forced to participate in the final sealer test, the combat evaluation. Only after passing this could he be considered capable of repaying the debt. And now, after his rebirth, every single detail was playing out exactly like his previous life, including a certain special girl. But he didn't have much time to get lost in nostalgia. Because right on cue, the announcement blared over the speakers. The combat evaluation for prospective sealers is about to begin. The contamination monsters being used for the test have been released onto the school grounds. Candidates are free to form teams and then hunt down the contamination monsters to perform a seal. Any assistance from outside forces is strictly prohibited during this exam. The proctors will be closely monitoring and evaluating your performance. The second the announcement ended, students scrambled like their lives depended on it. Everyone wanted to team up with the strongest people they could find. For instance, a guy named Tron Trak Hao was immediately swarmed by a squad of female students. Another hot commodity was Vuong Xuan, a perfect frontline attacker. Teams were forming up in seconds. A lot of the well-connected rich kids had already formed their squads long before the test even started. For the average students, this was obviously a bit unfair. But it's always been a known fact. A solo sealer doesn't live long. So, finding a solid squad was the most effective strategy for survival. Before long, 95% of the candidates had found a team. The students at Bok-tin's school were, on average, a cut above the rest. The roster included 1A rank, 3 B ranks, 47 C ranks, and 443 C rank or lower. In terms of energy levels, most were below 100 points. This made someone like Bok-tin, with his massive 1,200-point mana pool, a major person of interest for the proctors. They even thought he was so OP he didn't even need to take this practical exam. But in reality, not a single team wanted anything to do with Bok-tin. Even the E-rank sealers were getting shooed away like flies, so you can imagine the welcome an F-rank like our boy got. He knew this all too well, which is why he approached another abandoned E-rank sealer, hoping to team up. But even this dude looked down on him. Who the hell would team up with a useless punk like you? It's because I hang around losers like you that my own energy level won't rank up. Bok-tin couldn't believe an E-ranker had the audacity to say something like that. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. But before he could even clap back, the guy got so triggered he just decked him, clearly taking out his own frustrations on our boy. Caught off guard, Bok-tin was knocked to the ground, his heart filled with disappointment. Because the guy who just punched him used to be one of his close friends. He used to call him Big Bro Bok with every other breath. And now, that same guy was using this moment to show off to the others, hoping it would score him a spot on their team. Bok-tin staggered to his feet, blood pouring from his nose. A delicate hand appeared in front of him, holding a handkerchief. It was Ngyet Tam, the girl Bok-tin had been keeping a special eye on since he reincarnated. Ngyet Tam was just as gentle as he remembered from his past life, so he couldn't help but give her a warning. You still haven't awakened your powers, right? You need to be careful. Don't worry about my feelings. The fact that I have no powers is something pretty much everyone knows. Nguyen Tam's voice was filled with sadness, but it seems fate hadn't taken everything from her. Though Nguyen Tam hadn't awakened any abilities, she came from a powerful family, and her family had hired a top-tier team of mercenaries to make sure she passed the exam with ease. But then, something unexpected happened when Nguyen Tam offered to let Bok Tin join her team. This was completely different from his previous life. She said the extra cost didn't matter. Having lived a whole life before, Bok Tin was naturally wary of everything. So, faced with this sudden plot twist, he couldn't help but wonder, why are you helping me? Bok Tin was genuinely waiting for this answer. It held a special meaning for him. I guess it's out of sympathy. Don't overthink it. If you don't want to come, then... Before Nguyen Tam could even finish her sentence, Bok Tin was already introducing himself to her mercenary squad. An opportunity this good, only a complete idiot would pass it up. And with that, the final team was formed. The combat evaluation officially began. The teams started to spread out, hunting for monsters. Among them, Tran Trak Hao's squad was probably the most eye-catching. That's because all his teammates were the most popular girls in school. The only problem was, besides their good looks, they were all D-rank abilities. Seemed pretty useless, to be honest. Tran Trak Hao led his 3 beautiful groupies around the campus for a while, hoping to find a nature-type contamination monster. It wasn't long before Kat Loi, the one with plant-based powers, sensed something unusual in a nearby flower bed. Lu Tri Thuk, who had the agility and flexibility of a cat thanks to her powers, volunteered to scout ahead. And just as they suspected, they found a monster hiding in the bushes. It was a massive, man-eating, 4-leaf clover demon. But here's the kicker. It wasn't alone. There were a grand total of 18 of them. With that many monsters, even if Tran Trek Hao had 3 heads and 6 arms, he couldn't handle them all. He ordered Lu Tri Thuk to use her agility to buy them some time. Her ability was limited. She could only last for about 8 seconds. Tran Trek Hao used those precious 8 seconds to go all out, unleashing a barrage with his magma-shooting ability. His strategy worked like a charm, and in the end, they successfully sealed the man-eating 4-leaf clover demons. Meanwhile, Bok Tin and Nguyen Tam's group was still wandering around, unable to find a single contamination monster. Even though their team leader, Ma Hao Trong, was a B-rank sealer, he looked completely unreliable right now. Seeing everyone getting impatient, Ma Hao Trong tried to calm his team down. The appearance of these monsters is completely random. Let's just keep looking. Bok Tin could read Ma Hao Trong's clueless expression like an open book. It was obvious this guy had no ability to sense contamination monsters. That's because contamination monsters can create their own pollution domain, basically, an independent space that's invisible to the naked eye from the outside world. After walking for a while, Ma Hao Trong suddenly stopped in front of a warehouse. Then, he said he wanted to borrow Bok Tin's light orb to search inside. And Nguyen Tam shot him a disgusted look. Shouldn't you guys have brought flashlights? But contrary to her expression, Bok Tin was actually thrilled. This was the first time anyone had ever needed his useless ability. Bok Tin eagerly ran ahead, saying he had a feeling they were about to find a monster. But thanks to his memories, he already knew exactly where the monster's pollution domain was. And in just 2 steps, Bok Tin walked right into it. They were instantly pulled into the pollution domain. Besides Bok Tin, every other member of the team was freaking out. News that their team had gone off the grid quickly reached the proctor's room through the surveillance system. Lai Kim Nin feared they had run into the only C-rank contamination monster, the toughest challenge in this entire exam. But the others, especially a proctor named Ha Kiet, were completely indifferent. They had no intention of helping. After all, candidates dying during the exam wasn't exactly a rare occurrence. Back with Bok Tin's group, after falling into the pollution domain, they were immediately engulfed in darkness. Bok Tin instantly activated his light orb ability, illuminating the pitch-black space, and very quickly, they met their opponent. It was the Dia Huyet Ma Thu, the only C-rank contamination monster in this exam. Ma Hao Trong, though shaking like a leaf, tried to calm his squad down, ordering everyone to halt and listen to his commands exclusively from now on. He then started assigning roles. A guy named Wang Kiem, with a C-rank sound control ability, was tasked with noise reduction to keep the monster from waking up. Meanwhile, Liu Kim Tu, who had a B-rank Beast Bloodline ability, was assigned as the main attacker. Team lead Ma, How about we let times clear the way first? It would lighten my load, Vuong Kim suggested. The him he was talking about was obviously Bok Tin. Hearing this, Nguyen Tam immediately fired back, "What's that supposed to mean? My family is paying you, and now you're trying to boss us around?" Ma Hao Trong, terrified of angering Nguyen Tam, instantly shot down Vuong Kim's idea. "Miss Nguyen Tam's request is our command. Watch what you say." After that, he shooed Bok Tin to the side, telling him to do a... Nguyen Tam looked completely lost. She clutched her weapon tightly, but had no idea what she was supposed to do. Suddenly, a hand gently took hers, then lifted the weapon from her grasp. Nguyen Tam jumped, only to realize it was Bok Tin holding her hand. This is the demon-breaking sword, right? Neither of us has any combat power. So, how about I, as the man here, hold the sword and protect you? For some reason, even though Bok Tin looked completely useless, he also seemed incredibly reliable at that moment, making her blush unconsciously. Bok Tin kept flexing, claiming he was a man of justice and responsibility with sharp observation skills. And he wasn't just talking big. The demon-breaking sword in Bok Tin's hand suddenly plunged straight into the ground. Or more accurately, it plunged straight into Nguyen Tam's shadow on the ground. Doesn't this shadow look a little weird to you? Not just Nguyen Tam, but the other three members of the squad were completely floored by Bok Tin's move. Come on out, second young master of the Ko family, Ko Nguyen Kwang. The shadow pinned by the demon-breaking sword began to tremble violently. Then, it rippled like the surface of water, and from that murky surface, a head slowly emerged. For a useless piece of trash, you've got some sharp eyes. How about you join my research project? The main topic will be figuring out how to transfer your massive energy pool over to me. I'll pay you a normal salary, of course. A man as skinny as a drug addict appeared before them. This was Ko Nguyen Kwang, an A-rank sealer with a pretty high energy level of 817 and the ability Dark Shadow. And, plot twist, he was also Ko Nguyen Tam's cousin. The moment Bok Tin saw Ko Nguyen Kwang's face, he felt sick to his stomach. In his past life, this monster had tortured him countless times, all to steal his abundant energy. Even more disgusting, he was the one who had assaulted his own cousin, Ko Nguyen Tam. But times have changed. He had been reborn. Now, it was Ko Nguyen Kwang's turn to taste what it felt like to be tormented. And it was also time for our boy to awaken his true power. It wasn't some ordinary light projection technique. It was the Hand of the Divine Giver, a skill of currently unknown rank. This ability would grant him any power, equivalent to his own energy level. The Hand of the Divine Giver was absurdly OP. Once activated, the user could grant a target a random ability with an energy level equal to their own. Then, the user could take back that ability while also receiving an energy level feedback from the target. It was a power-up cheat code. Seeing Bok Tin's strange display, Ma Hao Trong's crew played along sarcastically. "Oh no, he's about to have a second awakening. We have to stop him, or we're all done for." But they could only keep a straight face for a few seconds. After making eye contact, they couldn't help but burst out laughing. The idea of a second awakening was so ridiculous that none of them believed it was real. And the way Bok Tin was acting just looked like some kid on drugs, making it even funnier. Ko Nguyen Kwang was also laughing, but his smile wasn't one of mockery. It was sinister. Bok Tin felt a bad vibe. Sure enough, a moment later, Ko Nguyen Kwang started to do something monstrous to his own cousin. Even in this desperate situation, Nguyen Tam didn't forget to scream for Bok Tin to run. But right at that moment, Ma Hao Trong and his crew showed their true colors. After all, they were hired by Ko Nguyen Kwang to help Nguyen Tam, so pulling this kind of scummy move wasn't surprising at all. While the other two goons were busy dealing with the spider demon, and Ko Nguyen Kwang was holding Nguyen Tam captive, Ma Hao Trong stayed behind just to teach Bok Tin a lesson, even though our boy hadn't done a single thing wrong. Seeing herself being humiliated by her own cousin, and seeing a weakling like Bok Tin getting dragged into this because of her, Nguyen Tam was in absolute agony. She could only curse the fact that she couldn't awaken her own powers. If she could, she would have diced these scumbags into 1,000 pieces. But just as Nguyen Tam hit her lowest point of despair, Bok Tin's voice echoed out once more. "Ko Nguyen Tam, how about I give you a chance to change your destiny?" The moment he finished speaking, the light orb in Bok Tin's hand shot forward as if it had a mind of its own. It zipped past Ma Hao Trong and flew straight towards Ko Ngyet Kwang. Pissed that his fun was being interrupted, he casually summoned a wall of shadows. This thing was supposed to block any and all damage, yet Bok Tin's light orb pierced right through it. While Ko Ngyet Kwang was still in shock, the light orb stopped right in front of Ko Ngyet Tam's forehead. Then, without a moment's hesitation, it phased right through her skin and into her body. A strange sensation immediately washed over Ko Ngyet Tam's entire body. Ko Ngyet Kwang instantly sensed something was wrong. The energy now surrounding his cousin was the unmistakable aura of an awakening. The phenomenon was unbelievably bizarre. A single light orb from Bok Tin had somehow helped Ko Ngyet Tam, who could never awaken before, become a full-fledged sealer. Because of this, Ko Ngyet Kwang was now far more interested in Bok Tin than the cousin he was holding. "Kid, you're pretty good. How about you reconsider my initial offer? Work for me. What do you say?" "No thanks. I hate working more than anything." Bok Tin shot back without a second's thought. "Besides, you're definitely getting cooked today, so it's not like you'd be able to pay me anyway." Bok Tin's arrogant attitude really pissed off Ko Ngyet Kwang. But before he could deal with him, he was almost incinerated by Ko Ngyet Tam. Her body was now glowing like a hot coal, and then she burst into flames. She had fully awakened. And not only that, it was an A-rank ability, Thermal Energy Control, with a whopping 1,200 energy points. Ko Ngyet Tam stared at her own palms. Not even in her wildest dreams did she think she would ever awaken, let alone an A-rank ability with 1,200 energy points. But she didn't have much time to be amazed, because a moment later, she heard Bok Tin urging her on. "Ko Ngyet Tam, don't just stand there spacing out. Make a move!" Hearing his words, the rage in Ko Ngyet Tam's heart instantly ignited. She spun around, fast as the wind, and shot Ko Ngyet Kwang a look that could kill. Even though Ko Ngyet Tam hadn't attacked yet, that death glare alone was enough to terrify Ko Ngyet Kwang. He stumbled back a few steps, stammering, "That's a scary look, cousin. You just awakened, so you probably don't have control of your powers yet, right?" Out of pure fear, Ko Ngyet Kwang even called for Ma Hao Trong to deal with his own cousin. With his boss's permission, the thug named Ma held nothing back, summoning a giant fist with his ability and lunging forward. But the newly awakened Ko Ngyet Tam was no pushover. Seeing the attack coming, she immediately launched a counter. Ma Hao Trong, despite his massive size, couldn't escape being completely swallowed by the raging flames of Miss Ngyet Tam. He collapsed to the ground, a hideous sight looking no different than a roasted pig. Ko Ngyet Kwang was trembling with fear. Even he couldn't one-shot a B-rank sealer like that. Facing Ko Ngyet Tam now was completely impossible. So, Ko Ngyet Kwang chose to escape. In reality, he wasn't running away entirely, just temporarily hiding to find a chance to counterattack. He observed carefully. Fire-type abilities were usually pretty mediocre, but Ko Ngyet Tam had awakened an advanced version. However, she still couldn't completely control its weakness. She could only use her own body as a conduit for the heat, which resulted in an extremely short attack range. Ko Ngyet Kwang chose a suitable spot, then slowly rose from his shadow. At this distance, he could perfectly use his shadow dagger. One throw, and he could easily take Ko Ngyet Tam's life. But that was just what he imagined would happen. "Cousin, you really think you're safe now?" Bok Tin, who was sitting nearby, suddenly burst out laughing. An A-rank ability combined with 1,200 energy points can stomp you flat like an ant. Despite the taunt, Ko Ngyet Kwang was still confident that his shadow dagger could finish off his cousin. He immediately launched his attack, but Ko Ngyet Tam was just as quick to respond. And what she gifted her cousin in return was a pillar of raging fire. The speed of that flame was so insane that Ko Ngyet Kwang couldn't dodge even if he wanted to. He took the full force of the attack head-on and collapsed next to the oversized corpse of Ma Hao Trong. After dealing with the enemy, the massive flames on Ko Ngyet Tam's body vanished. All that was left were beads of sweat rolling down her cheeks. Her clothes had been burned to ashes. Bok Tin quickly took off his jacket and draped it over her. "First battle, huh? It's normal for your heart to be racing. You'll get used to it. There are clothes to change into in my backpack. Don't catch a cold." In truth, Ko Ngyet Tam's heart wasn't just pounding because it was her first fight. She was in shock that her own cousin, who had always seemed so nice, was secretly plotting to humiliate and even kill her. And that's not all. In his quest to become the family head, your parents would have died tragically at his hands. "You're the one who saved them," Bakhtin said, gently placing a hand on her shoulder to comfort her. "Thank you, Bakhtin. You saved my entire family." Konanget-Tam's voice grew faint, and then she went silent. It seemed the shock and exhaustion were too much, and she had passed out. Bakhtin's first time granting an ability to a target was a complete success. He had helped Konanget-Tam awaken the A-rank ability, thermal energy control. After his success, he himself gained a copy of this ability and also received a 9-point energy level feedback bonus. But the problem wasn't over yet, because after Konanget-Tam passed out, Lu Kim-tu sent his giant spider demon to attack Bakhtin. He assumed that with Nguyen-Tam unconscious, only the non-combatant Bakhtin was left, making him an easy target. Bakhtin, holding Nguyen-Tam in his arms, still effortlessly dodged the first attack. "Who told you I don't have any combat abilities? You can dodge once, but you can't dodge a second time. You're definitely dying here today." Lu Kim-tu cackled like a maniac. But Bakhtin wasn't stressed at all. He was just worried about the unconscious Nguyen-Tam. Her thermal energy control ability had released a massive beam of heat in an instant. She probably fainted from losing so much body heat. Thinking about this gave Bakhtin an idea. If Konanget-Tam released heat, then he would choose to absorb it. Bakhtin pulled a bottle of water from his backpack, twisted the cap off, and flicked it with a sharp motion. In that instant, he absorbed all the heat from the water, turning it into solid ice, creating a massive ice sword. Now, the one who should be worried wasn't Bakhtin, but Lu Kim-tu. "Answer me. Do I still need to run?" Bakhtin's voice was dripping with confidence. And even if he was being arrogant, he had every right to be. Bakhtin was no longer the F-rank failure. The power he was wielding now was A-rank. As for Lu Kim-tu, he still had no idea what kind of nightmare he was about to face. With his buddy Wong Kim still by his side, the two clowns planned to team up and teach Bakhtin a lesson he'd never forget. Wong Kim had even prepped a special move that, according to him, had defeated countless arrogant B-rank sealers. So, Bakhtin should be a piece of cake. Lu Kim-tu bought time for Wong Kim by trying to pin Bakhtin down. First, he shot out a highly poisonous spider web, aiming to trap his feet. But the moment the ice sword in Bakhtin's hand swung, the web was sliced to ribbons. "Is that all you've got? You were talking some big game just a second ago." Bakhtin's voice was a pure challenge. He didn't give his opponent any time to launch another attack and went on the offensive himself. The ice sword in Bakhtin's hand slashed forward, aiming for Lu Kim-tu, who was still merged with the spider demon. The goon let out a pained scream, but Bakhtin's last slash wasn't a fatal blow. Because he still had a lot of things he wanted to test out, he had no intention of letting these two scumbags off so easily. Bakhtin attacked again. This time, he froze the body of the poisonous spider, completely immobilizing Lu Kim-tu. "Such a cute little spider. It's a waste to let you control it." As he spoke, Bakhtin started siphoning the spider's blood towards himself. The creature's venom supercharged his ice sword, evolving it into a larger, more potent poison ice sword. Weapon upgrade test complete. Bakhtin, now even more hyped, swung with all his might. Lu Kim-tu scrambled to dodge. There was no way he could accept being defeated by an F-rank failure. "No, you can't kill me!" Lu Kim-tu screamed desperately. "I've fused with the monster! If you kill me, the pollution domain will collapse!" Hearing this, Bakhtin immediately stopped his attack. Actually, Lu Kim-tu wasn't wrong. Konanget-Kwang had planned this operation meticulously because he wanted to use the properties of the pollution domain to perfectly erase all traces of his crimes. Bakhtin also wanted to keep this spider demon alive, so he had to think carefully before making his next move. Seeing our boy distracted, Lu Kim-tu instantly seized the opportunity to undo his fusion, escaping from the monster's body. The monster was now free from the control of his bloodline beast skill. Sensing its life was in danger, it immediately tried to collapse the pollution domain and escape. Having just separated from the monster, Lu Kim-tu flashed a triumphant grin. Because everything he had done up to this point was to buy time for Wong Kim, the sound controller, to prepare his ultimate attack. Meanwhile, Bakhtin was getting tangled up with the spider demon, which was becoming a real pain. His real targets were the other two clowns, so he had no intention of wasting time on this monster. While he was trying to figure out how to shake it, Wong Kim launched his attack. It was a sound wave capable of rupturing eardrums, an attack he boasted no human could ever withstand. The sound wave slammed directly into Bok Tin, and it seemed to have the desired effect. Seeing him clutch his ears and scream in agony, they were sure they had won. Lu Kim too rushed towards the demon-breaking sword, intending to use it to deliver the finishing blow. Meanwhile, Bok Tin was in so much pain he had collapsed to his knees, defenseless as the spider demon slowly closed in for the kill. However, his powerful will to survive helped Bok Tin get back on his feet at the last second. Just as the spider demon was about to strike, he transformed his ice sword into an ice wall, blocking the monster's advance. Getting beaten so badly only fueled Bok Tin's determination to win. After successfully creating the ice wall, despite blood pouring from both his ears, he took off running. Lu Kim too thought he was retreating and eagerly told Vuong Kim to attack again. Vuong Kim planned to fire another sound wave, this time to make Bok Tin permanently deaf. But then they realized Bok Tin was running towards where Ma Hao Trong was lying. Vuong Kim instantly panicked. "Crap, he's heading for the captain! Is he trying to use a hostage to threaten us?" Bok Tin let out a sinister laugh as another light orb appeared in his hand. "Threaten you? No. This is a little gift I'm giving you guys." With that, he immediately activated the Hand of the Divine Giver on Ma Hao Trong's flattened body, then instantly recalled it. Just like that, Bok Tin acquired the Rock Fist ability and his 212 energy points. Now, his total energy level had skyrocketed to 1,421 points, along with 2 top-tier skills. A, rank Thermal Control, and B, rank Rock Fist. Even though it was his first time using Fang Fist, Bok Tin felt completely natural with it. That spider demon was the first to get a taste of his new giant, rocky punch. The feeling of unleashing power through these devastating blows was exhilarating for Bok Tin. But this wasn't even the end of it, because Ma Hao Trong's energy level was nothing compared to the burnt-out husk of another guy lying nearby, Ko Nguyet Kwang. Bok Tin used the Hand of the Divine Giver on him next. And just like that, he acquired the A-rank Dark Shadow skill along with a massive 817 energy points. Seeing him get stronger by the second, Lu Kim Tu and Vuong Kim knew they couldn't just stand by. The two clowns, one with the demon-breaking sword and the other with sound waves, attacked at the same time. But Bok Tin quickly used Ko Nguyet Kwang's skill to escape into his own shadow. Think of something. He's using the captain's ability, and he turned into a shadow. His power is copying. Vuong Kim was finally starting to panic. Left with no other choice, Lu Kim Tu's only idea was to kill the spider demon, to collapse the pollution domain, and escape together. But Bok Tin didn't even give them that chance. His Hand of the Divine Giver was just too OP. Vuong Kim and Lu Kim Tu were separated for less than 2 seconds before the former was completely absorbed by Bok Tin. Just like that, his C-rank sound control and his 79 energy points became Bok Tin's. Now, only Lu Kim Tu was left, trembling like a leaf while holding the demon-breaking sword. Dealing with him would be easy. So, Bok Tin decided to make things a little more meaningful. "Hey, help me out with one last experiment. If it works, you'll bring a disaster upon humanity, and I'll personally send you to hell." Lu Kim Tu wasn't listening to a word Bok Tin was saying anymore. He just turned and ran for his life. But his chances of survival were slim to none, because Bok Tin was already starting to combine his powers. He used Rock Fist to create a base, enhanced it with Dark Shadow, and then combined his thermal energy and sound waves to create a cannonball with terrifying destructive power. This was a special attack Bok Tin wanted to dedicate to Fo Hai Kim High School, and he gave it a name, the Hell Forged Cannon. After combining his abilities, Bok Tin immediately opened fire, channeling all the hatred from his past life. And this single shot not only obliterated Lu Kim Tu, but also shattered the spider demon's pollution domain, successfully sealing it in the process. All traces of Ko Nguyet Kwang within that pollution domain had been completely erased. Bok Tin was very satisfied with the results and was about to go report his sealed spider. But he didn't expect that he wouldn't have to go far, because the 3 proctors had already gathered around the collapsed domain, waiting for him. And the first question Haki had asked him was, "Where is Ko Nguyet Kwang?" To be able to say Ko Nguyet Kwang's name so casually, Bok Tin guessed Ha Quiet must have known him personally. Bok Tin glanced at Ha Quiet, then at the unconscious Ko Nguyet Tam. Ko Nguyet Kwang had prepared so well that he even colluded with the exam proctor, while Ko Nguyet Tam had been completely unprepared. No wonder she almost died. Ko Nguyet Kwang. His name sounds a lot like Ko and Guyet Tam. Are they related? Bakhtin decided to play dumb. Ha Kiet walked past him, surveying the area. Bakhtin was sure she understood how pollution domains worked. After the boss is sealed, all non-living matter inside disappears. Seeing her expression, Bakhtin started to wonder if she was also part of this twisted plan. Miss Nyutam, are you all right? A desperate cry cut through Bakhtin's thoughts. It was the Ko family's butler, Konan Hoa, along with his subordinates. Seeing Konan Yet, Tam wearing only a single jacket, and lying there completely unconscious, the whole group started to panic. Seeing them so worked up, Bakhtin couldn't help but try to calm them down. Relax, she's just a little exhausted. But the moment Bakhtin finished speaking, Konan Hoa instantly flared up. What happened here? Tell me the truth, now. Ha Kiet seized the opportunity to add fuel to the fire. She said she also needed to interrogate Bakhtin and told Konan Hoa to restrain him. Konan Hoa immediately lunged forward, and his subordinate, Lufeng Diep, quickly used his vision ability to lock Bakhtin in his sights. Ho Min and Lai Kim Lin also looked ready to jump into the fray. Even with his god-tier ability, Bakhtin couldn't take on this many people at once, especially when he didn't know all of their powers. A direct confrontation would only put him in danger. Gentlemen, I'll tell you the truth, I swear. Can you maybe call off your powers first? Veins bulged on Konan Ho's forehead from pure rage. He threatened that if Bakhtin told a single lie and put Konayet Tom in danger, he would personally tear him to shreds. Right now, the ones Bakhtin feared most were Konan Hoa and Ha Kwayet. These two were at least B-rank sealers, with energy levels no lower than 2,000 points. Even if he used Konaget Kwang's ability to turn into a shadow, he might not be able to escape them, and he'd just end up revealing his own secret. Ha Kwayet made her position crystal clear. As a proctor for this exam, she had every right to pass judgment on anyone who could be a threat to humanity. If Bakhtin confessed, she'd let him live. If not, his end would be too gruesome to describe. Thank you for your concern, but can we handle one thing at a time? Bakhtin negotiated. He then presented his and Ko Naget Tam's exam participation forms along with the sealed spider demon. Confessing is one thing, but passing the test is another important matter, right? But unexpectedly, Ha Quiet just snapped her fingers and instantly incinerated both the documents and his sealed spider. But the fire Ha Quiet used was no ordinary flame. It seemed her ability was material decomposition. Ha Quiet shot him a sharp look, warning Bakhtin not to play games with her. Each of her fingertips held an attack that could defeat him in a heartbeat. Konan Hoa only cared about his young miss. He didn't know the relationship between Ha Kiet and Ko Niet Kwang, but for now, they shared a common enemy. Moreover, Ha Quiet promised that after clearing things up, as long as Ko Nguyet Tam woke up, she would receive the highest score for clearing the pollution domain and the C-rank monster. So, for the time being, Konan Hoa decided to team up with Ha Kayet to teach Bakhtin a lesson. It was only then that Bakhtin realized the butler's ability was shape-shifting, though he wasn't sure if it was a snake, a lizard, or a dinosaur. All he knew was that whatever form his opponent took, at this size, it could easily tear him to pieces. Facing the pressure from these two powerhouses, Bakhtin quickly confessed the truth. But unfortunately, this truth was a complete fabrication. Lord Konaget Kwang told me to keep it a secret. He wants to retrieve a treasure hidden in the school. Even though Bakhtin didn't look like he was lying, Ha Quiet couldn't sense Konaguet Kwang's presence in the school, so she knew he was making it up. Her patience was wearing thin, so she reached out, planning to take Bakhtin's right arm first. In a desperate moment, he yelled again, "I'm telling the truth! It's Principal Fo Hai Kim's treasure! Young Master Ko Nayet Kwang sensed another pollution domain nearby recently." Hearing the name Principal Fo Hai Kim, Ha Kayet actually paused. Ho Min, who was standing next to her, couldn't help but chime in. Principal Fo Hai Kim is the director of the National Superpower Research Institute. He's absolutely not someone we can afford to offend. And Lai Kim Lin had also heard that Fo Hai Kim had recently gone to a neighboring city's academy to lecture. Faced with this new information, Ha Kiet started to waver. A theory formed in her mind. Principal Fo Hai Kim had hidden another pollution domain in the academy. When this C-rank domain was cleared, it accidentally disturbed the one Fo Hai Kim had hidden, which is why Ko Niget Kwang left so suddenly. And the reason he left Bak Tin and Kong Gyet Tam alive was because they were still useful. Kong Gyet Kwang wanted Ha Kiet to detain them to prevent the secret from leaking. But she had misunderstood, letting the Ko family's people arrive and causing Bak Tin to reveal this secret to everyone. With this train of thought, Ha Kiet started blaming herself, thinking she was the one who had missed the initial opportunity. Then, Ha Kiet demanded Bak Tin lead her to Ko Gyet Kwang. She planned to meet up with him and then eliminate everyone else here. As for Ko Gyet Tam, after confirming she was temporarily out of danger, a guy named Vuong Tri used his light boat to take her to the hospital. Lu Fong, Deep, and Konyan Hoa followed Bak Tin, planning to take him back to the Ko family estate for imprisonment after everything was over, pending Ko Gyet Tam's awakening. And so Bak Tin and Ko Gyet Tam were separated. He didn't know where these people stood, so he feared that Ko Gyet Tam might also be in danger. But right now, Bak Tin couldn't even protect himself, so he could only hope that Ko Gyet Tam would be safe until they met again. The group of 5 began to escort Bak Tin away. He was tightly bound by Ho Min's tentacles as they walked around the school. Even though they didn't know what Bak Tin had done wrong, seeing him on the bad side of the proctors made them all gloat. But Bak Tin paid them no mind. He was too busy calculating how to teach these people a lesson. I saw young master Ko Gyet Kwang heading in this direction. He mentioned Principal Fo Hai Kim several times, so maybe we should check the principal's office. Then, Bak Tin chose the perfect moment to activate Ko Gyet Kwang's Dark Shadow ability. Bak Tin's shadow slipped right into the principal's office. By the time the group entered and saw it, Ha Kiet naturally assumed it was Ko Gyet Kwang's shadow. She just didn't understand why he was maintaining this shadow form. The reason Bak Tin knew about the secret in the principal's office was because in his past life, Fo Hai Kim had taken him there. Bak Tin controlled the shadow, grabbed a paperweight from the principal's drawer, and threw it hard at Ha Kiet. While they were distracted by this action, Bak Tin quickly opened the S-rank pollution domain hidden in the office. At the same time, Fo Hai Kim was lecturing at the United University of Bakjiang City, and coincidentally, he was also teaching about pollution domains. A pollution domain, as mentioned, is an area dominated by the power of a contamination monster. The rules of the real world are altered to varying degrees inside a pollution domain. The boss's ability and energy level determine the rules within. Usually, a C-rank pollution domain isn't considered too threatening, but those above C-rank are extremely dangerous. Some can make you lose consciousness, get poisoned, or have your whole body fester with pus. It's incredibly hazardous. Others can trap you in a beautiful dream from which you can never wake up. There's also a pollution domain where the boss will eliminate anyone who hears its footsteps within the city. The only way to dispel a pollution domain is to defeat the boss. And to ensure survival, the most crucial prerequisite for taking on the boss is to observe and understand the rules of the area. Among the students sitting below, someone realized that the cases Fo Hai Kim was talking about seemed related to the recent sensational A-rank incidents. The fact that director Fo Hai Kim was openly hinting at A-rank cases meant the situation had become extremely dire. This made the students incredibly anxious. In reality, as new sealers, they hadn't been exposed to these things yet. A few had just overheard rumors from acquaintances. The ranking of a contamination monster isn't just based on its energy level, but also on casualty statistics. When sealers of the same rank as a monster try to conquer its domain and the casualty rate hits 90% or more, that pollution domain is classified as an A-rank incident. Sealing these monsters brings huge benefits, and a sealed S-rank monster is considered a national strategic resource. That's why matters related to them are usually kept top secret. Yet today, Fo Hai Kim himself mentioned the recent A-rank cases. There were only 2 possibilities for this. Either those contamination monsters had been dealt with and were no longer a threat, or those monsters had spread to an uncontrollable extent. And looking at the current situation, it was hard to imagine it was the first case. The students below started to get restless. It got to the point where Fo Hai Kim had to clap his hands a few times to signal for silence. Some of you students must have already figured out what's happening. Yes, I won't hide the fact that the frequency of contamination monster appearances is increasing. As the hope and future of humanity, you need to arm yourselves with more knowledge to deal with this situation. That is why I am here. According to Fo Hai Kim, among A-rank contamination monsters, over 80% have pollution domains. For S-rank monsters, that number rises to over 90%. And for S-rank pollution domains, the casualty rate is 99%. The moment these numbers were spoken, the students below became even more agitated. With a casualty rate like that, it was basically a death sentence the moment you faced the monster. A female student couldn't contain her anxiety and stood up. Director Fo Hai Kim, as the world's most powerful prophet, can you tell us if humanity will face extinction? Fo Hai Kim didn't give a clear yes or no. He just said, my answer is, in 3 months, the fate of humanity will reach a new turning point. And at that exact moment, Bakhtin had successfully dragged the entire group into the S-rank pollution domain in the principal's office. Hakwayat was probably the most confused. Just a moment ago, after she touched that golden bull paperweight, they were all sucked into this pollution domain. And the shadow she thought was Ko Nagyet Kwang was still standing in the same spot. Nagyet Kwang, say something! Ha Kiet screamed impatiently. The moment she finished speaking, the shadow shot forward, but it passed right through Ha Kiet. It merged seamlessly with Bakhtin, who was standing behind her. It was only then that Ha Kiet was completely stunned, realizing that wasn't Ko Nagyet Kwang, but Bakhtin's ability. But by the time she figured it out, it was already too late. Bakhtin had used this very ability to break free from Ho-min's restraints. At the time, Ho-min was still confident he could stop him. He unleashed his deep-sea prison skill, using his tentacles to surround Bakhtin. Although his deep-sea prison was only a B-rank ability, Ho-min was cocky, believing that anyone trapped by his tentacles was as good as being pinned at the bottom of the ocean. Even an A-rank sealer would struggle to escape. Bakhtin quickly used his dark shadow to get away, but Ho-min just laughed even harder. Your aura has been locked on by my tentacles. You can't escape. Oh, really? Even if I merge with the darkness, you can still pinpoint me? Bakhtin taunted, and this was Lai Kim Lin's cue to step up. Her B-rank ability, Electric Light Spirit, allowed her to summon spirits that emitted high-frequency light, capable of dispelling any darkness in the room, completely shutting down Bakhtin's plan to merge with the shadows. Once his shadow was exposed, Ho-min seized the opportunity, using his tentacles to bind his limbs. Bakhtin started to panic. He never expected his opponent's tentacles to be able to touch him, even after he had turned into a shadow. Just then, Ha Kiet stepped forward, stomping hard on Bakhtin's shadow, and demanded, "Tell me, why do you have Nguyen Kwang's power? You have one chance to answer. Let me ask you something." Bakhtin shot back sarcastically. What's the most ear-piercing sound in the world? And just as he predicted, Hakwayat lost it, screaming 3 words, "Go to hell." Bakhtin seized this opportunity. Using his sound control ability, he amplified Hakiet's voice many times over. He created a counterattack that blasted all of them back and used the chaos to escape. The group was hit by Bakhtin's move, blood streaming from their ears. Hakiet's rage intensified. She was dead set on finding Bakhtin, convinced that since he'd been hit by her attack, he couldn't be unharmed. But at this point, Ko Nanhoa couldn't just stand by and watch their cat-and-mouse game. His own life was his top priority. No one knew for sure that this was an S-rank pollution domain, but based on its sheer scale, Ko Nanhoa guessed it had to be at least A-rank. And everyone knew how terrifying the effects of an A-rank or higher domain could be. Ko Nanhoa, now fully transformed into his lizard form, took off first, saying he needed to get to his young miss. Hakiet now felt that something else was wrong. Ko Nanhoa had been silent from the very beginning, as if he had already figured something out. The Ko family had its own private research facility for pollution domains, which is why she had been asked to assist Ko Nguyet Kwang in monitoring them. But Ko Nanhoa was on Ko Nguyet Tam's side. If he found out about her plan, Hakiet knew she wouldn't be safe. "Stick close to him! Find a way out of this pollution domain!" Ha-Kiet barked orders at Ho-min and Lai Kim Lin. The students outside saw the sky suddenly change color and had a bad feeling. Some thought it was just the next phase of the sealer exam. Others realized it was a pollution domain. The entire school was enveloped by its range, and all the teachers and proctors had vanished. As for Bakhtin, he had escaped. But the left arm hit by Ha-Kiet's attack couldn't be saved. His body trembled uncontrollably from the pain. He had been reborn, only to end up a one-armed cripple again. Was this the power of the Wheel of Fate? He didn't believe in fate. When he was reborn, Bakhtin had sworn to win this life, and his immediate target was Fo Hai Kim. Because just like in his past life, In 3 months, that man would become a god. And Bakhtin, reborn with the ambition to take revenge on humanity, would not let something so beneficial to mankind happen. The spread of the pollution domain was quickly noticed by the other students. They too began to panic. Trantrak Hao was no exception. He wasn't sure if this was part of the test, but one thing he knew for sure was that he had to survive. Not wanting to just sit around and wait, Trantrak Hao came up with a plan to exploit the other students. He put on his calmest face and turned to address the crowd. "Everyone, come over here and listen to me quietly. I have some inside information. This phenomenon is just another part of the test. The proctors are probably watching us from somewhere. We have to stick together to get a better score." Trantrak Hao added that although his ability was only C rank, he had taken a course in tactical planning and even got an A+ in it, so he was fully capable of leading everyone to safety. The members of Trantrak Hao's team immediately started hyping him up, constantly praising his great leadership, which boosted his credibility even more. But Trantrak Hao wasn't the only one who wanted to be the leader. Besides him, there was another student named Truong Mu, a B-rank sealer with an unknown ability. Truong Mu knew that becoming the leader would greatly increase his chances of survival. But unfortunately, Trantrak Hao had beaten him to the punch. And Truong Mu wasn't the only one annoyed by Trantrak Hao. There was another student named Trin Ingan, and the way Trin Ingan challenged him was quite subtle. "I've heard of you. I, Trin Ingan, am willing to follow you. But before that, could you show us your ability?" That's exactly what I was thinking. The better we understand each other, the easier it'll be to coordinate. The moment he finished speaking, Trantrak Hao immediately demonstrated his Great Earth Magma ability. The power of this move wasn't bad, but Trantrak Hao's energy level wasn't very high, so he could only use it once in a short period. How about that? Not bad, right? But before he could even finish his sentence, Trantrak Hao was rammed by a blood-red bull and died without even a chance to gasp. The witnesses could only scream in terror, because the worst had happened. Trantrak Hao had been executed by the rules of the pollution domain, but they had too little information. No one knew what rule he had broken. Was it forbidden to use abilities, or forbidden to damage the terrain? Lu Tri-Thuk was the first to react. She rushed to the spreading pool of Trantrak Hao's blood, repeatedly calling out "Captain." And then, the blood bowl appeared once more. This time, Lu Tri-Thuk suffered the same fate as her captain. Soon, many more people were executed by the domain's rules, but they still couldn't figure out what those rules were. Bakhtin, standing on the rooftop, saw all of this but had no intention of saving them. To him, every life in this world had the same end. It was just a matter of going sooner or later. In his past life, the Mangu demon wasn't supposed to be released for another 3 months, and the one who released it was none other than Principal Fo Hai Kim. Hoa Van City, with its population of over 10 million, was reduced to just a few dozen survivors after a long struggle. The situation that day was a complete catastrophe. This event turned the once thriving city into a crater, leaving nothing but ruins too tragic to look at. Bakhtin remained silent, continuing to watch the people below tear each other apart. They started to resort to the law of the jungle, pushing others forward as cannon fodder just to live a little longer. Some scumbags, realizing they wouldn't make it, decided they had to force themselves on innocent girls before they died. Others fell into despair, just holding their heads and crying, or clasping their hands and praying to the gods. And the rules of this pollution domain were incredibly tough. The Mangu was triggered by a large-scale environmental change, and that change was caused by Trantrak Hao using his Great Earth Magma to sweep across a wide area of land. Besides those who could meticulously deduce this rule, only a reincarnator like Bakhtin could escape this fate. In his previous life, that monster was named Kim Nugu Sung Teo by Fo Hai Kim, with a danger level reaching S rank. Once its rule was activated, any slight color change would enrage it. Resisting or running both meant death, and doing nothing also meant death. In other words, once the rule was triggered, the Mangu would hunt down and kill everyone trapped inside. The more times the Mangu was enraged, the larger the pollution domain would become, and the stricter the rules would get. This S-rank contamination monster was extremely dangerous, and yet Fo Hai Kim had turned it into his own personal weapon. His ambition and power were terrifying. But the craziest part about the Kimgu, the Golden Bull, isn't just its S-rank power, it's the fact that this nightmare is actually rooted in real-world history and an ancient, terrifying myth. You see, back in the day, during the Lai dynasty of Vietnam around the 11th century. Historical records document the casting of unimaginably massive bronze artifacts. This era represented the absolute peak of imperial power and metallurgy. We're talking about real historical heavyweights like the legendary monk Win Min Kong, who historically gathered literal mountains of dark bronze to forge a bell so gigantic, it was recorded as one of the four great treasures of the realm. Historically speaking, these massive imperial projects were supreme symbols of authority, requiring insane resources and often causing massive environmental shifts from mining, kind of exactly like how this pollution domain is triggered by environmental changes. But here's where cold, hard history bleeds into absolute legend. The local folklore states that when this colossal bronze bell was finally rung, its sound was so pure, so incredibly resonant, that it echoed across borders. According to the myth, a colossal golden calf from the north heard the tolling and mistook it for its mother's call. Driven by pure, primal instinct, the golden calf charged southward. It was an unstoppable force of nature, tearing up the earth, flattening mountains, and trampling everything in its path until it reached the capital. When the giant bell was tossed into a river and the ringing finally stopped, the confused and enraged beast trampled the land so fiercely it created a massive crater. That crater filled with water and became the famous West Lake or Hotei in modern-day Hanoi. The myth says the golden bull never died or left. It just sank into the dark, murky depths of the lake, waiting in a dormant state for centuries. Sound familiar? Fo Hai Kim didn't just find a random monster. He literally weaponized a piece of ancient folklore, taking the mythological golden calf, a beast born from historical imperial ambition and bound by a dormant curse, and twisting it into a modern-day S-rank contamination zone. It's a chilling reminder that the monsters of the past never really die. They just wait for the right trigger to wake up and finish the job. And knowing that makes Fo Hai Kim's twisted plan even more messed up. If it weren't for Bok Tin's memories of his past life, he would never have guessed that such a massive ambition lay behind that gentle face. And he had no intention of just sitting back. Even with only one arm, Bok Tin leaped from the rooftop. But just as he was about to land, he used his thermal control ability to heat the air beneath his feet, using the thrust from the expanding air like a steam jet, allowing him to land safely. And even though he was reincarnated, he had to be extremely careful with Kim and Gu Songtyo. Its color-changing rule was just too dangerous. For example, if he used the shadow ability he got from Conan Giet Kwang to turn into a shadow, he would instantly become the bull's primary target. Moreover, it was currently afternoon, and there wasn't much time left until sunset. When the transition between light and dark began, the Mongu would launch even more terrifying attacks. Just thinking about it gave Bok Tin the chills. He just hoped to survive peacefully until then. Besides his own life, Bok Tin was also worried about Ko Nagiet Tam. The reason he jumped from the roof was to find her. At that moment, Ko Nan Hoa and his subordinates were also frantically searching for their young miss. It wasn't that they had forgotten about Bok Tin. They were the butlers of the family head and had sworn absolute loyalty to his family. Therefore, Ko Niet Tam's life was the most important thing. Didn't you want to beat up and kill that kid just now? Why did you let him go so easily? Lu Feng Diep asked, puzzled. That kid saved the young miss's life. I was just pretending to go along with those proctors to observe the situation. Now that he's escaped, I don't need to follow and protect him anymore. But Konyan Hoa probably didn't suspect that his own trusted subordinate was also a spy bought by Conan Giet Kwang. Lu Feng Deep had long been brainwashed with the idea that the family head must be a person of talent, not someone useless. And in his eyes, Conan Giet Tam, who couldn't awaken her powers, was the definition of useless. Right now, Lu Feng Deep was already plotting to kill Konyan Hoa to prevent him from becoming an obstacle for Conan Giet Kwang. He just hadn't found the right opportunity yet. At that moment, Konan Hoa had found the vehicle carrying Kon Guyet Tam. Inside was Vuong Tri, who had been with her all along. But unfortunately, Vuong Tri was also a spy. The moment the car door opened, the two traitors exchanged a look, silently confirming the time to strike. There was a bomb planted under the car with just enough explosives to send both Konan Hoa and Koniet Tam to the afterlife. Their lives were now hanging by a thread. Vuong Tri's hand was ready. All he had to do was press the switch made of energy light, which would affect the light orb next to the bomb, causing a collision and triggering the explosion. Although their goals were the same, Unlike Lu Fengdeep, Vuong Tri had grown up with Ko Nuyet Kwang and Ko Nuyet Tom since they were kids. He felt that if Ko Nuyet Kwang, representing the branch family, took power from Ko Nuyet Tam's family, his own rewards would be much greater. So, even though he had long-standing feelings for Ko Nuyet Tam, he was determined to let her be blown up for the chance at a better life under Ko Nuyet Kwang. However, just as he was about to activate the switch, Lu Fengdeep stopped him. Because Ha Kayet's group of 3 had just arrived, she wanted to see Ko Nan Hoa, claiming that this pollution domain was not simple and they needed to cooperate. Ha Kiet didn't really like these people either, but without Ko Nuyet Kwang, she didn't dare act rashly, especially while Ko Nuyet Tam was still alive. If she harmed her, she wouldn't just lose an ally who could help her escape the domain, she would also become a direct enemy of the Ko family and be the first to be eliminated. Ko Nan Hoa, who had been busy in the car, had actually heard everything Ha Kuyet said outside, but this time, he refused from the start. Instead of cooperating with Ha Kiet, he just wanted to focus on ensuring his young miss's safety. Ha Kiet refused to give up and tried every trick in the book to sway him. She said she had a way for Ko Nuyet Tam to safely escape the pollution domain, but the condition was that she herself had to survive and get out of here too. You're being too arrogant. The power of this pollution domain is not to be trifled with. Before Ko Nyan Hoa could finish his sentence, she cut him off. The destructive power in my fingertips comes from a master, but my real ability is the spatial backpack. The moment Ha Kiet said this, everyone there, including Ko Nan Hoa, was stunned, because the spatial backpack was an incredibly rare space-type ability. With it, one could open a pocket dimension where even living people could hide to escape danger. Ko Nyan Hoa quickly understood the situation. Ha Kuyet could let Ko Nuyet Tam hide inside for safety. In return, he would be responsible for getting Ha Kiet out of the pollution domain first. The two quickly reached an agreement. Afterwards, Ha Kiet wanted to gather all the surviving students to collect intelligence, but she was met with opposition from Ko Nyan Hoa. He argued that the more people there were, the higher the chance of triggering the rules. Moreover, they would gain more useful intel from the dead than from the living. With that, Ko Nan Hoa ordered Lu Fengdeep to use his vision to check the traces of death, and then they would analyze it together. His vision ability could see the signs of the living and also choose a person to track their line of sight even if they were dead. Ha Kuyet wasn't going to sit idle either. She ordered Lai Kim Lin to immediately investigate the files of all students from A rank down. Ho Min was to confirm the visual data and use his tentacles to capture people. She thought Ko Nan Hoa's method of gathering intel from the dead was too slow. Instead, she could disregard the lives of others and directly send these people to die in her place. The first unlucky target was identified as Don Hu Hu, who possessed an A-rank ability. Throughout this whole process, Bak Tin was secretly observing from the sidelines. Honestly, he had to give props to Ha Kiet for her cold-bloodedness, actually capturing living students to test the rules for her. In reality, he didn't care much about the lives of others. It was just that right now, Bak Tin hadn't figured out a way to get Ko Nuyet Tam back. While Bak Tin was still thinking, he noticed a female student approaching him. When she was spotted, the girl looked panicked, repeatedly waving her hands and begging him not to kill her. She claimed to be very useful. Useful? In what way? Tell me. I am Don Hu Hu. In 17 seconds, his tentacles will capture me. I can be bait for you to absorb his ability. Bak Tin was taken aback. So this was Don Hu Hu, the first target of Ha Kiet's group, and she had a precognitive ability. Just as Don Hu Hu said, not long after, Ho Min's tentacles found their way to her, about to snatch her away. But with Bak Tin here, how could he let them win so easily? He immediately used the Hand of the Divine Giver on the girl, granting her a level 3 psychic probe ability. Ho Min was counter-probed, and Bak Tin instantly seized the opportunity to absorb his ability. Ho Min's tentacles fell to the ground, and Bak Tin immediately stomped on them. He then used the Dark Shadow ability to turn them into black shadows. Ho Min, now covered in shadow, his color changed, instantly became a target for the Mongoose execution. Ko Nan Hoa didn't think twice, immediately picking up the entire car with Ko Nuyet Tam inside and retreating. Ho Min, completely drained of energy, had fainted and couldn't escape. He was hit head-on by the Mongoose. Ha Kiet had to save herself by opening her spatial backpack and hiding inside. Bak Tin used this chaotic opportunity to also end the life of the spy, Lu Fengdeep, with his hell-forged cannon. The explosion he created was so massive, it caused a color change in the area where Lu Fongdeep was standing. And because of that, he couldn't escape the Mongu either. Meanwhile, Bak Tin and Don Hyu Hyo were completely unharmed. Don Hyu Hyo collapsed on the ground, completely stunned as she witnessed Bak Tin's series of fluid, seamless moves. In just a few seconds, he had formulated a counterattack plan and executed it flawlessly. First, he granted her energy and then took it back in an instant. Then he used that ability to drain Homin's energy, causing him to pass out. After that, he used the Dark Shadow to cover him, changing his color and triggering the pollution domain's rule. Not to mention that final cannon shot, where Bak Tin had intentionally hidden a light orb inside. The cannonball would make it impossible for anyone to react, and the light orb used that opportunity to enter Lu Fongdiep's body and steal his ability. The immense thermal energy created a color change on the ground, setting the stage for the Mongu's second attack. The more Don Hyu Hyo thought about it, the more she trembled. His reaction speed, his combat sense, and the way Bak Tin acted were all too decisive, too ruthless. This chain of powerful attacks, even a renowned A-rank expert wouldn't be able to escape his grasp. What scared Don Hyu Hyo even more was that the outcome was exactly what her ability had predicted. The reason she had risked running up to Bak Tin was because she had already probed that he was completely familiar with, and could even manipulate the rules of this pollution domain. Only by staying with Bak Tin did she have a hope of survival. "You think saying a few nice words is enough for me to spare your life?" Bak Tin suddenly said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Don Hyu Hyo jumped. You took my ability too? Then my inner thoughts. That's right. Everything you've been thinking, I've seen it all. Hearing Bak Tin say this, Don Hyu Hyo screamed in embarrassment. So he had been reading her mind this whole time. But very quickly, she started hearing his inner voice, and Bak Tin seemed much more aggressive than she had imagined. Shut your mouth and give me some quiet. If you weren't useful, I would have killed you already. But right now, I do need an assistant who can communicate silently with me through psychic probing. And you qualify. The young man in front of her had a cold face and a sinister smile. Don Hyu Hyo wouldn't dare to oppose him even in her dreams. Bak Tin then demanded her full cooperation in gathering all the students with potential, telling them to hand over their abilities to him as their only chance of survival. To make sure Don Hyu Hyo could help him gather the students, Bak Tin gifted her Ma Hao Trong's Rock Fist ability and 1,000 energy points. Now, this girl had 2 abilities, and her energy level was 1,296, making her much stronger than before. Time is running out. Get moving, Bak Tin urged, not forgetting to threaten her. Even though we're in a pollution domain, I can still sense you, so don't even think about running. You don't need to remind me, Don Hyu Hyo replied. She wasn't an idiot. She had no intention of running, because she knew very well that her only chance of survival was to stick with Bak Tin. In just a few short seconds, he had already mapped out the next detailed plan in his head. Initially, when the pollution domain opened, Don Hyu Hyo had used her psychic probe on person after person, hoping to find a chance to survive. She never expected to hit the jackpot with Bak Tin. Don Hyu Hyo was so happy she was practically skipping, knowing she hadn't chosen the wrong person. She even silently praised him, thinking that in the future, Bak Tin would definitely become a figure as powerful as the current principal. Back with Konan Hoa, after the Mongu disappeared, he finally felt safe enough to put down the car containing Konayet Tam. Vuong Tre was still alive, but Lu Fongdiep was cooked. Bak Tin decided to stop hiding and stepped out from behind a wall. Well, everyone's still alive? Looks like our chief proctor wants to keep hiding in her spatial backpack. Seeing Bak Tin's demeanor, Konan Hoa couldn't tell if he was friend or foe, so he immediately went on guard. He told Vuong Tre to get in the car and take care of the young miss, while he himself prepared to stop Bak Tin. Of course, Bak Tin had no intention of harming Konayet Tam, but seeing Konan Hoa get so defensive, he couldn't help but give him a little reminder. Don't do anything reckless. I can trigger a rule-based attack in an instant, and it'll be much stronger than the last 2 times. Bak Tin wasn't bluffing. One of his hands was already touching the ground. All he had to do was use his thermal control ability to scorch the ground and change its color, and everyone within range would die. But of course, that wasn't his intention. He used his sound control ability to lower his voice, just enough for Konan Hoa to hear. Then, Bakhtin told him the entire truth, including Konaget Kwang's plot to harm Konaget Tam to seize the position of family head, the fact that Proctor Hakiet and Konyan Hoa's two subordinates were all Konyet Kwang's people, and even that he had seen the bomb under the car. Unexpectedly, after hearing this, Konyan Hoa immediately flew into a rage. He didn't care if Bakhtin's words were true or false, but he would not allow anyone to use Konyet Tam's life to threaten him. Bakhtin knew instantly that Konan Hoa wanted to test his strength. The Ko family's internal war had no place for the weak. And it just so happened that he wanted to test out his new ability, the deep-sea tentacles he had just stolen from Ho Min. A multitude of tentacles sprouted from Bakhtin's severed arm, and at that exact moment, Konan Hoa attacked. His tentacles wrapped tightly around his opponent's arm, but this time, Bakhtin was on the back foot. Close combat was Konan Hoa's specialty, and our boy had just gifted Don Huhu 1,000 energy points, leaving him without enough power to overwhelm the butler. Seeing him struggle, Konan Hoa looked at him with disdain. "So, this is all the strength you have?" Bakhtin's face turned red from the strain. Dark Shadow and Thermal Control were his superior offensive skills, but both would easily trigger the pollution domain's rules, so he couldn't use them. His other support-type abilities were useless in this situation. The only way out was to quickly grant his ability to his opponent and then retrieve it to analyze Konan Hoa's transformation power. But if he did that, his whole body would turn green like the butler's, which would trigger the rule. But in this tight spot, an idea sparked. Bakhtin saw Vuong Tri dragging his injured body towards the car. He yelled out, "What are you waiting for? Big bro Nguyet Kwang told you to take care of Ko Nguyet Tam. Go on, I can't hold on much longer." Both Vuong Tre and Konyan Hoa were stunned. And that idiot didn't even realize he had walked right into a trap. He just thought Bakhtin was also one of Konagiet Kwang's men. Hearing his words, Vuong Tre eagerly prepared to activate the bomb switch. Seeing this, Konan Hoa immediately switched targets, releasing Bakhtin to grab Vuong Tri. In his fully transformed state, his strength completely outclassed his opponent. Vuong Tre was being crushed in Konyan Hoa's hand, on the verge of exploding into a mess of flesh and blood. But he refused to give up, still trying to activate the bomb to drag everyone to hell with him. And Bakhtin used that opportunity to send his light orb flying, completely absorbing his opponent's energy level and his energy ray ability. Vuong Tri was a bloody mess. The moment Konan Hoa threw him aside, he instantly became a target for the Mongu. He stared at his own hand for a long time, then muttered, "You forced me to kill him. I had other ways to handle this." Bakhtin continued to reply via telepathy. "So what? I don't care about other people's lives. Only you can protect Koning Yet, Tom, so you have some value. I'll be testing you too, so listen carefully to what I'm about to say next." Then, Bakhtin started shouting loudly, mainly to inform Ha Kiet, who was hiding in her spatial backpack, that Konagiet Kwang was dead and she no longer had any backup. "Ha, quiet. Stop doing evil deeds from now on. Learn to love nature and protect the environment. Also, it's safe outside as long as you don't come out covered in blood." At the same time, he released his tentacles, wrapping them tightly around Lai Kim Lin, who was lying nearby, barely breathing. She looked horrified when she found she couldn't activate her ability. But what could she do? Her electric light spirit ability now belonged to Bakhtin. Meanwhile, in the schoolyard, the students were still in a panic, unable to figure out the rules of the pollution domain. A student named Ku Thien pulled a talisman from his shirt. It was a sealed, contaminated item he had hidden for emergencies. When activated, the user would get a protective shield against all contamination monsters for half an hour. Ku Thien placed the talisman on his forehead and yelled, "Paper talisman, protect me!" Instantly, his entire body was enveloped in a green barrier. Ku Thien burst out laughing, overjoyed that he was about to escape. But just a second later, the Mongu gored him straight through, sending him straight to the underworld. The other students, who had seen countless people get taken out by the Mongu, weren't surprised anymore. But they were still scared to death, only managing to step back to avoid being splattered by Ku Thien's blood. Trong, Mew, and Triningan were probably the calmest ones there, but even they couldn't shake the fear. Ku Thien had just used a priceless sealed item to save his life, and not only did he fail, he died a horrible death. Now, they didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. Trong Mew pieced together the events from the beginning. First, Tran Trak Hao used his Great Earth Magma, Then Ban Trin used his empty water domain to turn the ground into a lake. From this, he could deduce that the condition to trigger the rule was environmental change. But Lu Trithuk was killed just by touching Tran Trakhao's blood, so the rule could also be touching someone else's blood. And Vuong Dao, who used his phone to call for help, was killed by the Mangu the moment his screen lit up, so the rule could be a ban on electronic devices. But many other students had also died. And from the way they died, countless other rules could be inferred. The amount of information was overwhelming. Trung Mu tried to find a common thread between all these rules, but he couldn't think of anything. And the more he thought, the more he panicked. Seeing him start to cry, Trinangan, afraid he would trigger the Monagu, quickly covered his mouth while reminding the other students. Everyone, pay attention and calm down. If you want to live, you have to wait quietly. Try not to cause any changes and don't use your abilities. I have a very bad feeling that the condition that makes the rules stricter is the number of times they've been triggered before. That Mangu is getting bigger. Trung Mu broke free from Tringan's grasp and started screaming in panic again. It's growing by feeding on our lives. Soon, even breathing might trigger its hunting rule. Don't joke like that, Tringan tried to calm Trung Mu down, but he himself was so scared his legs were turning to jelly. Finally, Trung Mu couldn't take it anymore and collapsed to the ground, sobbing. Who the hell created these ridiculous rules? Why do there have to be rules at all? He screamed so loudly that Trinangan started to lose it too. But in the end, Trinangan held on to his last shred of sanity. He didn't care who made the rules, all he knew was that he had to survive. And besides himself, only Truong Mu was among the strongest here. If they didn't calm down and find a solution, it would be difficult to escape this pollution domain. The rule is color change. A voice suddenly echoed nearby. It was Don Hu Hu. Both Trong Mu and Trinangan turned their heads in unison, letting out a loud, "Huh? Who's that?" "It's me, Don Hu Hu, the strongest and only A-rank mind reader among the current students." Don Hu Hu shed her previous timid and weak demeanor, striding confidently into the middle of the students. "Right now, I'm the only one who can save you, so shut your mouths and don't interrupt me." Then, Don Hu Hu began a little flex about her A-rank psychic probe ability. Thanks to it, she could explore people's inner worlds and their secrets. She also had a strong sixth sense that helped her feel mental fluctuations that could be disadvantageous to her. "I just sensed murderous intent amidst the panic, used various mind probes, and discovered something interesting." Don Hu Hu continued, but was cut off by Tringangan this time. "Wait, I want to know. Shut up and listen to me." She had no patience to hear Trinangan finish his sentence. Then, she dropped a bombshell on them. Bak Tin was a reincarnator. He understood the rules of the pollution domain and was preparing a plan to destroy humanity. Even though Bak Tin was human himself, he despised his own humanity. He also harbored a deep-seated grudge from all the suffering he endured in his past life, which gave birth to his terrifying, destructive intent. Seeing that people didn't believe her, Don Hu Hu used her psychic ability to project her recent encounter into the minds of the two strongest people here, Truong Mu and Trin Engan. After witnessing the entire event, both of them were inevitably shocked and terrified, and now believed everything she had said was true. He's too strong. How are we supposed to deal with him? Tringnan was anxious, but Don Yu Hu seemed very calm. To her, a sealer's strength didn't depend on their energy level or skills, but on how well they understood the skills they possessed. Bak Tin had absorbed a huge number of abilities, but hadn't delved into their potential, so he wasn't unbeatable. A prime example was her own psychic probe ability. Don Hu Hu could see Bak Tin's entire inner world, but he could only see her disguise. Because she had used her own psychic probe on herself, creating a closed energy loop and a mental barrier. This barrier protected her thoughts and prevented her secrets from leaking. Then, to demonstrate her skills, Don Hu Hu directly read out the secrets that Truong Mu and Trinangan were hiding. She also praised their intelligence, especially Trinangan's, which is why she chose them as her allies to save humanity. Truong Mu and Tringan were completely won over by Don Hu Hu, vowing to save their fellow students together. Seeing this, Don Hu Hu was extremely pleased, having successfully taken control of this group of students. She was also extremely confident because her mind-reading ability had allowed her to see even Bak Tin's memories from his past life, turning his opportunities into her own. Don Hu Hu may have looked weak on the outside, but she was actually a sinister person. Until her plan succeeded, she would continue to act like a simp, constantly generating thoughts in her head like Bakhtin is number one. Bakhtin is so amazing, even the proctors are nothing to him. This gave Bakhtin a massive headache. As for him, after absorbing Vuongtre's ability, he didn't stick around for long. He told Manhwa to protect Koningayat well, and if he got the chance, to take out the remaining proctors. Then, Bakhtin used Vuongtre's energy ray ability to leave. Manhwa watched him go without blinking. It was only then that he realized Kongyet Kwang's Dark Shadow ability had also been stolen by Bakhtin. But how could someone with such a sinister ability to steal powers be completely unknown? And why did Bakhtin want to help Kongyet? Manhwa couldn't figure these two things out. Overall, he now completely trusted Bakhtin. After all, our boy had every opportunity to kidnap Kongyet if he had bad intentions, but he still left her in his care. The information he provided through telepathy was enough to make Manhwa extremely wary of Hakwayet hiding in her backpack, and only after Bakhtin had truly left did she cautiously emerge. Hakwayet came out dressed in a revealing outfit. She had planned to go to the beach after this, so she hadn't packed any other clothes, which explained her disheveled appearance. But she wasn't ashamed, because right now, her urgent mission was to capture Bakhtin and the young miss of the Ko family to hand them over to the mysterious person above her, as it was her only way to stay alive. So she didn't hold back in trying to persuade Manhwa. As for Manhwa, since Bakhtin had communicated with him telepathically, Hakyet hadn't heard any of the important information. So he continued to play dumb, pretending to be on her side. On Don Hyu's side, Truongmu and Tringan had helped her gather all the powerful students. To do this, they spread a rumor that Bakhtin was actually a genius who was luring the domain's boss. Once the boss was lured, all they had to do was gather their powers and unleash a combined attack to completely destroy it. As a result, many students who had been hiding their true strength now revealed themselves, and their skills were all devastatingly powerful. Compared to them, Trantrok Hao, the first guy who wanted to be leader, looked like a total clown. Seeing the performance of Truongmu and Trinangan, Don Hyu was very satisfied, thinking she had found two good subordinates. On another front, Don Hyu was beginning to deep dive, reading all of Bakhtin's memories from his past life. Speaking of which, in his past life, Bakhtin had an extremely bad impression of Principal Fo Hai Kim. He was not as kind as he appeared. Back then, after being auctioned off by some rich pervert because of his lame light orb ability, it was Principal Fo Hai Kim who recognized Bakhtin's true talent and bought him. At first, Bakhtin thought he was being saved, but in reality, Fo Hai Kim took him to his private laboratory and used a scalpel to dissect him alive to study him. The sharp scalpel on his skin caused Bakhtin heart-wrenching pain. He would pass out and wake up again, but he was still breathing. Fo Hai Kim must have used some method to keep him alive. The man continuously used scalpels of all sizes, dissecting him layer by layer. Bakhtin's eyes were wide open, watching as his heart, liver, lungs, kidneys, gallbladder, and limbs, and even his skin were removed one by one, and he could do nothing. In the end, only his right arm remained. To prevent his ability from transferring to his other limbs after he died, Fo Hai Kim had sealed all his other body parts. After that, he left the operating room, leaving Bakhtin inside with a nurse. This woman caressed his right arm for a long time, then whispered in awe, "This is the most precious hand, given by God with the hope of ending this era of contamination." Bakhtin didn't understand what she was saying, nor why Fo Hai Kim was doing this to him. He cried and begged the nurse to kill him, to end his suffering. The nurse agreed, on the condition that he do one thing for her. She revealed that his light orb actually possessed a miraculous ability to grant skills to others. And Fo Hai Kim had done this because he predicted that every time Bakhtin awakened and used his ability, it would lead to a different fate for the world. "If you want to die that badly, then give the light orb to me, and I'll send you off peacefully," the woman coaxed. Bakhtin, already lost in despair, took out the light orb and placed it into her body. Upon receiving the light orb, the nurse was so happy she couldn't close her mouth. But the moment Bakhtin's light orb entered her body, he felt as if he had awakened his ability once again. That ability was the hand of the divine giver. After understanding this power, Bakhtin, who had been in a state of despair, was once again filled with a burning fighting spirit. He wouldn't accept it. Why did everyone treat him like an egg, a beast to be hunted and dissected? With that thought, Bakhtin immediately snatched back the light orb. The ball of light, carrying the nurse's energy level and ability, returned to his palm. And Fo-Hai Kim, hearing the commotion in the operating room, rushed back immediately. The moment Bakhtin saw him, he screamed, "Fo-Hai Kim! Was my death also part of your prediction?" With that, Bakhtin grabbed a random scalpel from the table, and then plunged it into his own right eye. Reading Bakhtin's memory up to this point, Don Hyu couldn't help but feel a chill. Even more terrifying, at that exact moment, she heard his voice echo in her mind. When you use your mind reading to see into someone's thoughts, can you feel their pain? Bakhtin, where are you? You already know, don't you? Are there any secrets I can keep from you? Don Hyu tried to act calm, then went back to her simp persona. Seeing Bakhtin standing on the building opposite her, she tried to lure him down, making it easier for the other students to attack. It was unclear if Bakhtin saw through her plot, but he refused her offer with a ridiculous excuse. He was shy and preferred to communicate from a distance. Don Hyu, I have a question. If you can freely use your mind reading, how do you see contaminated people? How can a person be contaminated? Don Hyu stammered in response. Oh, according to some recent expert discussions, human energy has also started to become contaminated. Jumping 3 meters high with a single leap, running 100 meters in 3 seconds, throwing a shot put with bare hands like it's nothing. Even after having your eardrums ruptured by a loud noise, you can recover quickly. Being burned beyond recognition and still being able to breathe, if that's not contamination, then what is? But besides physical mutations, the human heart will also become more heavily contaminated. Bakhtin talked a lot, then started listing grievances. The contaminated human heart, he mentioned, was easy to see. Food safety issues, human trafficking, bullying, wars between nations, the internal division between rich and poor. Even in the sealer exam, human lives were treated like dirt. Don Hyu didn't know what he was hinting at, but she maintained her innocent act to hide her wicked plan. We're all just students. You don't have to be so harsh. When we grow up, we all have to face harsh realities. That's normal. Bakhtin couldn't stand her fake innocence anymore and finally laid his cards on the table. Normal? You all gathered together to deal with me. You call that normal? The moment Don Hyu heard this, her face changed. She didn't know how Bakhtin had broken through her mental barrier. But one thing was certain. If he had found out, her life was in danger. As for Bakhtin, he had never fully trusted Don Hyu from the start. After reincarnating, besides Koniet Tom, he had always been suspicious of humanity, so he was always extremely careful. Bakhtin showed Don Hyu his painful memories, yet she showed no sympathy at all. Treating her own kind like animals, wasn't that the clearest proof that she too had a contaminated heart? And after being exposed, Don Hyu couldn't be bothered to maintain her fake mask anymore and questioned him back. Sympathy? Dream on. Humanity needs the strong to end this era of contamination. Therefore, all sacrifices are worth it. You say the word sacrifice so lightly. Is it because it's not the A-rank talents like you who are being sacrificed? The more Bakhtin listened, the more disgusted he felt, his voice growing colder. How about you all make a little sacrifice and give all your abilities and energy levels to me? Hearing this, Don Hyu was both scared and furious, and she flipped out, calling Bakhtin evil and a monster, even though she was the one who had been plotting first. To save her own life, Don Hyu had to accelerate her plan. She turned around and announced to everyone that Bakhtin was sealing the boss inside his body, and if they killed him, everyone would be saved. And the students were as easily led as cattle. The moment they heard her, they all turned towards the rooftop of the building, making Bakhtin their common enemy. Don Hyu was ecstatic. She had gathered over 100 students, so she was confident Bakhtin couldn't do anything to her. Trong Mu had the ability to create a channel to concentrate everyone's energy and transfer it to someone else, and the recipient of that energy was Trin Engan. Trin Nan, in turn, had the ability to compress that energy level and then fire it with the force of a cannonball. Right now, they were in the process of transferring and compressing the energy. The amount Trin Gan could compress had already reached 10,000 and was still climbing. They all thought they could take down Bakhtin in a single shot, but he didn't even spare these students a glance. He combined the abilities of Kon Nguayat, Kwang, and Vuong Tri. He made his own shadow float in midair. The electric light spirit behind the shadow emitted light, creating a shadow of the shadow that spread over the students. The closer the shadow got, the more the students would be enveloped in darkness, triggering the Manu's rule. Seeing this, Trong-mu started to panic. Trinangan also wanted to change his attack direction, but his compressed energy skill could only hit physical targets, not Bak-tin's shadow. Knowing he couldn't beat Bak-tin, Truong-mu surrendered first, blaming everything on Don Hyu-hyu. Bak-tin, I know you have mind reading. This was all Don Hyu-hyu's idea. Please don't kill me. All right. Hand over your ability, and I'll spare your life. As he spoke, Bak-tin launched his light orb. The ball of light passed through Trong-mu's body and was immediately retrieved. His B-rank energy channel ability was actually not bad. It allowed Bak-tin to create an energy channel of any shape to concentrate or distribute energy. Thanks to this, he could build a channel within his body, linking his right hand, which held the hand of the divine giver, with his other body parts. This meant he could use any part of his body to grant abilities. After creating the channel, Bak-tin simultaneously released countless light orbs. These orbs targeted the students below, absorbing all of their abilities and energy levels. In an instant, Bak-tin had dozens of new skills. Though most were low-level ones, he didn't value much. Below, the students were nearly drained of all their energy. They each had only a single point left. They could barely breathe, but were still alive. This was a form of torture Bak-tin had learned from Fo-hai Kim, and today he was using it on those who had ganged up against him. Now, they couldn't move. When day turned to night and the light faded, their bodies would turn black, and they would all be wiped out by the Mangu, unable to do a thing. And after the night passed, he would have the chance to seal that Kim Nagu Sung Teo. At that moment, Fo-hai Kim had just finished his lecture in the neighboring city. He also sensed that something was wrong at his school and was rushing back. The nurse was ordered by Fo-hai Kim to stay behind. He would return with a girl named Lam Kai, a powerful S-rank sealer, with an energy level of 2,743 and the ability Golden Blood. Konan Hoa gently lifted the stretcher carrying Koning Yet Tam and started to move. Ha Kiet, standing opposite him, said in a cold voice, "Hurry it up. After we put her inside, we still have to team up to catch that kid." Konyan Hoa didn't hesitate and immediately did, as she said. Seeing him hesitate like that, Ha Kiet became annoyed and shouted, "Hurry!" He still didn't say a word, his eyes showing a flash of shock as if he had just seen something unfortunate. Without another word, his large foot stomped hard on the ground. He then used the force to push himself and Nguyen Tam backward, away from the spatial gate. Seeing his action, Ha Kiet said, slightly displeased, "What did you discover?" Only after handing Nguyen Tam over to the nurse and guards for care did Konan Hoa feel at ease to reply. "After you put the young miss inside, you wanted to go in yourself, didn't you?" She didn't answer his question directly, but changed the subject. "I heard what he said before he left. The changes to the body and the external environment, if they trigger the rule before I combine with Homin, it must be true." Ha Kiet's face was full of triumph. "He revealed the information to you. Of course, I had to act first. With the burial power in my fingernails, you will have to obey my command." Hearing this, Konan Hoa replied calmly, "From what I've observed, after you use your ability, your fingernails change color. You will also face danger." She obviously knew that, but she had already calculated everything. If I do nothing, there's no danger, right? Triggering the rule now is enough to kill all of you together. His hesitation made Ha Kiet increasingly impatient. She barked an order. "I'll just go inside with her like this. You, go get that kid for me. Go now." To ensure Nguyen Tam's safety, he had no choice but to back down. "As you wish. I'll go. I understand the situation. Put the young miss in your spatial backpack, and I can leave with peace of mind." He didn't forget to suggest someone else go with them to take care of Nguyen Tam. She is an ordinary doctor with no threatening power, a non-combatant. Open the spatial gate far from here so she can take the young miss inside. Although Ha Kiet was a bit reluctant, she finally granted his request. Fine. One hand opened the spatial gate, while the other was responsible for controlling Konan Hoa. There was one thing she didn't know. His request was actually a trap. He wanted to use this opportunity to observe her actions more closely. She used her hand to open a new spatial gate, which took 3 seconds. She accepted his suggestion and cautiously opened the gate 2 meters away. Although the doctor couldn't threaten her, the time it took for her to hide in the gate was at least 1 second. After careful consideration, Ko Nyan Hoa thought that this time he had no choice but to gamble. He took advantage of the moment the female doctor was pushing the young Mrs. Cart forward, pretending to accidentally block her path. This caused the doctor to lose her balance and fall. Just as Ko Nyan Hoa predicted, her attention was diverted. This was the right moment to act. Now, Ko Nyan Hoa lifted the car next to him in one go and threw it straight at Ha Kiet. This caught her completely by surprise. You're looking to die. This was the challenge he had set for her. Choose. Option 1, bury the car. Option 2, open another spatial gate next to you. Or option 3, jump into the already open gate. Seeing Ha Kiet speeding towards the open spatial gate, Ko Nyan Hoa understood she had chosen option 3, the wisest choice. But he obviously had to make full use of this opportunity. The moment Ko Nyan Hoa opened his massive mouth and let out a roar, the sound wave made everyone nearby feel like their ears were splitting. He was using the amplification of sound to push the car closer to Ha Kiet. The moment the car could no longer withstand the sound pressure, it exploded directly. Ko Nyan Hoa quickly used his Tyrannosaurus force field to protect the other 3 people. From his side, he could still see the raging flames. By the way, that traitor Vuong Tre was very strong. Even a Tyrannosaurus body would be blown away at close range. A quick rundown of him. Ko Nyan Hoa, B rank, Tyrannosaurus, bloodline ability, energy level 2763. Skill 1, transform into a Tyrannosaurus with a body as strong as a T-Rex. Skill 2, Dragon's Roar, which emits a sound attack combining sound waves and energy. Skill 3, Tyrannosaurus Force Field, which creates a hemispherical force field that can resist energy and projectile attacks. When Ko Nyan Hoa finished dealing with Ha Kiet, he saw a flash of light. Following that was a hand reaching out to catch it. Bok Tin sat on the item he had just been gifted, smiling with satisfaction. Not bad. Congratulations on passing the test. Title, Divine Giver's Hand. Rank, Unknown. Energy level, Dizenhot. Utsas Harmin Snage. Skills, 14,008 A-rank spatial backpack. Seeing him, the butler asked in surprise, "When did you get here?" "Oh, I've been watching from above for a while. You gave her 3 options, but the thrown car would block her burial attack, and there wasn't enough time to open a new gate. So she could only jump into the old one, not expecting the bomb under the car. You don't take any chances. You had her in checkmate from the start. A very good chess player's mentality." Ko Nyan Hoa's first impression upon seeing him again was, she just forgot that throwing is an essential skill that made primitive humans the most fearsome species on Earth. He's gotten stronger, many times over. Bok Tin calmly stepped down, smiled, and introduced his new toy. Vuong Tre's energy ray combined with a fixed propulsion force, a gift from a classmate. I can freely sit on my throne in the air. Isn't it cool? For some reason, the butler just thought, isn't that just a simple elevator? You could do the same with a pulley system. Being criticized so bluntly, Bok Tin's expression froze. What? A pulley system? Refusing to accept this reality, he quickly fiddled with it. Change. Turn into a hot air balloon. Turn into a spaceship. No, still not cool enough. A flying saucer. I can make the coolest flying saucer. Putting that aside, the two quickly got down to business. This morning, this place was bustling with people. And now, the atmosphere was indeed not good at all. Bok Tin, opposite him, laughed and replied, "Big bro, this is an S-rank contamination zone. If it weren't for my special circumstances, figuring out the color change rule would have cost at least 1,000 lives." These words made him wonder, how is that possible? Where did this happen? Was it in a classified file? Bok Tin playfully winked and replied, "If you know, you know. Don't ask too many questions. I like you, so I can tell you the specific rule before nightfall." Then he slowly recounted what he knew. First, the golden bull statue was in a sealed state after being coated with some unknown golden substance. When it comes into contact with humans, it opens a contamination zone. Next, second, after the contamination zone develops, it will remain in a deep sleep. When a color change larger than its body size occurs, it will be awakened and begin to eliminate all color changes. At this point, he couldn't help but laugh, remembering how some idiot had loudly summoned a massive rock. And the third thing, the color of an object comes from light. When sunlight changes or is completely blocked, a creature that loses its color will be considered to have changed color, triggering indiscriminate attacks. Finally, fourth, after all targets are eliminated, its true form will appear, and I will seal it after that happens. The specific method? I'm afraid you'll steal it, so I'm not telling you. Konyan Hoa didn't intend to ask that. What he cared about was, the third point after nightfall, won't we also face an attack? To this, Bak Tin had a response ready. Me and Ngiet Tam will hide inside and watch you guys get chopped into 100 pieces outside. Seeing his joking attitude, the butler was still like, for real? I don't believe you. His serious tone killed the mood. Oh, you have no sense of humor. His face lit up with pride as he boasted, you know my nickname? The King of Illumination, Lamppost Bak Tin. The female doctor was a bit skeptical of his words. Is that really possible? We can survive just like that? Of course, he was very sure of what he said. Summoning one light orb can only protect myself. But after using the energy channel and electric light spirit, maintaining illumination for this entire area is no problem. If they were to ask how he knew that, the main reason was, I was once required to change the size of the light orb to emit different levels of brightness. With the experience I have, I will now adjust the light to match the outside. As the sun sets and the sky darkens, our spot will be the only place with remaining light, an area that hasn't lost its color. But he also had to remind the three of them of one thing. Out of respect for her, I'm giving you a chance to live. Sit tight and don't cause any more trouble for me. The male guard and the female doctor didn't dare to make a peep. Even Konan Hoa had to remain silent to let him concentrate. Bak Tin looked at the specks of light, thinking deeply. What should I do after this is over? Fo Hai Kim can see the future. Maybe as soon as this contamination zone opened, he'll show up. His mind was a mess of questions. Suddenly, reincarnating and taking the Kim Nu Sung Tio, he probably wouldn't expect the one-day sealing process to detach itself. I saw it with my own eyes in my past life. Why did he bring me to these 3 sealing events in the past life? Was it a trap specifically for me? At this moment, Konan Hoa couldn't help but speak up. Let's put the young miss inside the spatial backpack. I'm worried. The female doctor, her voice trembling, whispered, although I'm just a nameless side character, I still feel it would be better for someone to be by the young miss's side while she's unconscious. Bak Tin's eyes narrowed when he heard them speak. The guard and the doctor, afraid he would get angry, quickly explained, we're not trying to use this opportunity to hide inside. We just received orders to always be by the young miss's side. He calmly replied, she's unconscious because her power was drained. Just giving her 1 point of energy can restore her. I don't plan to wake her until after the sealing is done. Putting her inside seems better, so he agreed. But before letting Nguyen Tam in, he needed to check something. Wait a minute, there seems to be stuff inside. After fumbling for a bit, he realized, oh, so it's the same space. After arranging things, he turned to call them over. There are only a few daily necessities left inside. There's enough space for both of you to go in. Really? He gave them a special warning. If you dare to lay a hand on Koningget Tam, if I'm not dead, I can open the door and kill you at any time. If I die, you'll be trapped inside forever. The two didn't dare to disobey and quickly pushed Nguyen Tam's cart inside. The spatial gate was then quickly closed by him. The air outside was still contaminated. It seemed to be getting worse. Konyan Hoa looked up at the pitch-black sky and said quietly, it's dark. Bak Tin heard this and thought he was scared. Scared? He replied, the people of the Ko family have never been afraid of contaminated objects. It's just, before he could finish, Bak Tin could guess, it's just that there's a traitor in your ranks, right? Since Bak Tin already knew, Nan Hoa shared the truth. It's not worth mentioning. A stubborn genius and a person of high status will inevitably be ostracized. Completely eradicating contaminated objects and saving all of humanity is just a pipe dream. It's understandable that others want to use research results to boost their family standing. Hearing this, Bak Tin wanted to ask him a question. What are the specific research results of the Ko family? I respect you, so I won't use mind reading. Tell me. Nan Hoa slowly continued, I'm just a butler. I don't know much. But what led to the split in the Ko family and created an opportunity for our enemies was a leaked, hypothetical thesis. Specifically, the young Mrs. Father, the Ko family head Konyan Hoa, wrote a thesis titled On the Relationship Between Contaminated Objects and Sealers and the Feasibility of Using Contaminated Objects to Upgrade Sealers' Abilities. Bakhtin quickly understood what he was saying, his eyes widening in shock. Humans can be contaminated. The source of a sealer's power comes from contaminated objects. So that theory was his? Have there been any results? Otherwise, why would the Ko family suddenly fall into such chaos? To this, Manhwa could only shake his head. I don't know anything else. Maybe the patriarch conducted experiments for the young Miss's sake. If you have the chance, you should visit the Ko family estate. But before doing that, they needed to finish something else first. We'll deal with that later. It's starting. The moment Bakhtin finished speaking, desperate screams echoed out. Ah, help! The people who were about to die a bitter death were calling his name. Ah, Bakhtin, you did this to me! I can't accept this! From the sky, small fireballs rained down continuously. They directly incinerated everything they touched. Only when there were no more screams did he speak again. It seems it's over. No one survived. Manhwa wanted to ask, how do you plan to seal it? But he saw Bakhtin stand up and reply, that's right, how should I seal it? Then he just turned and walked away. The area has lost its color. Its true form will wander in the darkness, searching for and tracking any remaining color. This is also the only chance to make contact with it. The monster with blazing red eyes was right in front of him. Bakhtin faced it without a single trace of fear, remaining completely calm. His steady voice echoed, what if I make it so that it can no longer perceive color? With that, he immediately gave a command. Shadow, go! The shadow, despite using all its power, still left a gap. Seeing this, Bakhtin figured the shadow's coverage area was a bit small, but since it was an A-rank ability, pouring more energy into it should strengthen it. Thinking this, he decided to try it, inject 3,000 energy points. As soon as the energy was absorbed, the coverage area increased simultaneously. Seeing the cracks, Manhwa knew the contamination zone was collapsing. On his side, Bakhtin also let the three people out of the spatial gate. The doctor and guard looked at each other in confusion. Huh? Why is it open? Is it over? Turns out he wanted to use the space they were just in for something else. Step 2. Swallow it into the spatial backpack. To ensure it would succeed, he specifically injected another 4,000 energy points into the backpack. Expand. Swallow it for me. Finally, after a struggle, Bakhtin managed to trap it. A satisfied smile appeared on his lips. Sealing complete. Not as effective as Fo Hai Kim's seal. The Mongu isn't asleep, just has its contact interrupted. Good enough. When facing danger, I can release it even faster. After gathering the light, he granted it to Nguyet Tam. This action startled Manhwa. You! After finishing his business here, he flew off to another place. Not forgetting to say goodbye. Bye. Bakhtin's body soared through the air thanks to a combination of abilities. Hashon 3, Transparent Body, Chash 5 Flying Wings, Fashon 7 Propulsion Force, Dash 3, and C-Rank Kinetic Force. He wondered excitedly, let's see where my good friend Fo Hai Kim is waiting for me. C-Rank Vision, activating. Nguyet Tam slowly opened her eyes. She suddenly sat up, looking extremely panicked. Huh? Seeing her awake, Manhwa spoke. Young miss, you're awake? She clutched the sheet covering her, looking around frantically and asking, how long was I out? Where's Bakhtin? He replied, you were out for half a day. Bakhtin is fine. He took care of everything. We should leave first. The nurse next to her held a device, trembling. Young miss, the energy level meter shows your current energy is at 1,200 points. The driver turned in surprise. Is the meter broken? That's more than young Master Nguyet Kwang. Manhwa glanced over and urged, the situation is urgent. Let's get out of here first, he thought anxiously. Bakhtin left so abruptly. He must have sensed something. Nguyet Tam quickly got out of bed, put on a coat, and said, yes, I have some things to discuss with my father. On the way back, tell me everything about Bakhtin. She looked at Manhwa's back suspiciously. Uncle, you've been maintaining your transformed state this whole time. What are you on guard against? When the two returned to the original spot, Nguyet Tam looked down and was stunned. The entire sports field was a sea of flames. She clenched her fists, her face sad. It's only been half a day. What happened? It's too tragic. Manhwa knelt and gestured to the nurse and driver behind him. You two are not involved, so no one will bother you. Leave quickly. With that, Manhwa helped Nguyet Tam onto his shoulder and glanced back. We're leaving. He quickly leaped away. In a building shrouded in darkness, in a room, Kim Fo-cat stood by the window, smoking a cigarette. Inside, a girl lay on the bed, cooing at him, "Mr. Kim, I like you so much. When are we getting married?" Kim Fo-cat frowned, annoyed. "Didn't I tell you? I'm focused on my career right now. We'll talk about marriage later." Suddenly, the door opened, and a voice rang out, "I agree." A little girl leading a huge, ferocious dog burst in, shouting, "I love seeing humans stick together." The girl on the bed was shocked and asked, "Where did this kid come from?" The little girl excitedly pointed at her. "Daddy, I like her. I want her." Hearing this, the girl asked suspiciously, "Who is she? Didn't you say you were single?" Kim Fo-cat laughed nonchalantly. "She's my daughter." "I didn't lie. I am single, divorced single." Hearing this, the girl got angry, clutching the blanket. "You lied to me! Give me back my clothes! I want to go home!" Kim Fo-cat slung his jacket over his shoulder and walked away. So troublesome. "Daughter, go get friendly with her." The little girl had a sinister smile. The girl on the bed watched his back as he left the room, and the door slowly closed. Speechless. "Hey, you!" He slammed the door shut, put on his coat, and walked down the hallway. Kim Fo-cat left the building, his footprints still visible where he walked. He rummaged in his pocket, thinking, "Found you." He took out his phone and called. "Boss, did you get the money? 8 out of the 10 debts for today have been paid. I still have the IOUs for 3 houses, so I can go collect again." The person on the other end praised him. "Not bad. Well done. You're the one I trust the most among my subordinates." Kim Fo-cat looked up at the sky, thinking, "My life is going so smoothly. The boss trusts me. My 10-year-old daughter awakened her ability after I kill him later. I can go solo." Suddenly, the other end of the line was cut off. "You're being followed." He looked at his phone, confused. "Hello? Boss? I can't hear you clearly. Is your signal bad?" The signal on the other end stabilized. "This is your superior. I will arrange your future work." Kim Fo-cat's expression changed as he complained, "The boss said I could rest after collecting the debts today. Find someone else." On the other end, a young man held the phone. "Oh, is that so? I remember now. Then report today's work." Kim Fo-cat whined, "Report? I already told you. The debt has been transferred. I went to 10 houses today and collected from 8. Suddenly, he sensed something, glanced over, and froze. In front of him was Bok Tin on the phone. He was using his abilities. #5, sound control, C rank. Skillfully controlling sound to imitate someone's voice isn't hard. #36, magnetic field control, C rank. Controlling the magnetic field in an area to disrupt communication signals. #37, superior's command, E rank. Using the identity of a superior to give orders. The listener will unconditionally carry out the given command. Bok Tin slowly walked over, praising him. "Well done, Kim Fo-cat. Even though it's an E rank ability, under the pressure of my energy level, you've completely followed my command." Kim Fo-cat trembled in fear. "You!" Bok Tin slammed his hand on his shoulder and ordered, "The mission I'm giving you is..." He leaned in close and continued, "To recall how each debtor you forced to death died, and do it to yourself once." Kim Fo-cat's whole body shook. He looked at Bok Tin with teary eyes and said weakly, But I'll die." Bok Tin pointed a finger and used magic on his ear, complaining, "Why are you acting like such a coward? You're so pathetic. I'll grant you some magic. Now go die in peace." He felt the magic. Kim Fo-cat, C rank, energy level 631 plus 200. Ability, metal transformation. Control the shape of metal at will. The more complex, the more energy it consumes. #49, extreme revival, C rank. Each time he's about to die, he consumes energy to recover from life-threatening injuries. Bok Tin held out his hand with a smile and gave him another orb of energy. "Tisk, here's an extra 200 energy points. You can revive multiple times. Your ability isn't bad. Consider this my repayment of the debt's interest." Metal transformation, C rank. With that, he pushed him into the middle of the road. First death, run into the street, and get hit by a truck. The moment he finished speaking, a truck slammed into Kim Fo-cat, sending blood flying, while Bok Tin calmly turned and walked away. He thought, bashing your head against a wall, jumping off a building, slitting your wrists, self-immolation, hanging, drowning, enjoy it slowly, Kim Fo-cat. He went to room 1409, thinking, his daughter, found her. He knocked on the door. Open up. Delivery. The door opened, and a dog's head peeked out, startling him. A dog with a human body stood before him. He was helpless. God, this is disgusting. In the room, Kim Fo-Cat's daughter had killed the girl. The little girl, with her long, slender legs, said excitedly, "Big brother, are you here to play with me? Look at these new legs. Aren't they beautiful? My daddy loves to eat them the most." The little girl happily reached out her hand to him. "Isn't it fun? Do you want to merge with my dog?" Bak-tin was disgusted. He raised his hand, a floating magic orb activating Superior's command. "Play? Sure, but we play by my rules." He retracted the orb and continued, "Go find your daddy, and then you two can play together." His power increased. #63. Object fusion, C rank. Energy level. Njotsazer ketsaskilensven ketsas sazutven hot. Fuse any objects together into one, regardless of whether they are living or dead. The little girl and the dog merged into a ball and replied, "Yes." The ball immediately rolled outside happily. "Daddy, let's play together." Seeing this, he sighed. Suddenly, a wave of pain shot through him. He frowned, his eyes widening. Urgh! A fierce power surged in his right eye. He grabbed his eye and screamed, "Ah!" But it erupted even more violently, causing him immense pain. He screamed, thinking, "Is the seal failing?" Bak-tin collapsed to the ground in agony. "Ah!" He clenched his eye, gritting his teeth, and thought, using the shadow to cover it should have cut off the rule. Why? Bak-tin reached out and opened a shadow portal. He struggled towards the portal, his mind racing. To maintain the shadow clone, I poured 3,000 energy points into it. Now, I only have 2,400 left. I need to add another 3,000. His power decreased. Inside the portal, a dark shadow absorbed all his power. At this moment, his right eye stopped hurting. He gasped for breath, exhausted. It's stable for now, but Bak-tin was worried, trembling as he thought, a part of the shadow seal was suddenly broken, causing an energy loss. That bull is trying to take over my body. If this continues, I don't think I can live for more than 3 days. He calculated, is the only way to release the bull and let the contamination zone appear again. Cut to Kim Fo-Cat. He was banging his head against a wall while a crowd tried to stop him. His daughter rolled up at the same time. Bak-tin struggled to his feet, his hand trembling as he leaned against the wall. Absolutely not. This is a crucial point in Fo-Hai Kim's plan, and it's related to my chances of successful revenge. Kim Fo-Cat was still repeatedly smashing his head against the wall, blood spurting out. His little girl jumped up and down excitedly. "Daddy! Daddy! I got an order to come play with you!" Bak-tin, watching from a bridge, retrieved the magic from Kim Fo-Cat, frowning. Recall, I can't waste any more energy. His power increased. Energy level. 6,422 from 6,000. 124 plus 298. He then used his invisibility ability. I was planning to kill his boss too. I'll spare him this time. Transparent body, C rank, activating. He walked up the stairs, thinking, I have to find Tam. Her father might have researched something that could be a better seal. In a research lab full of modern equipment, a voice suddenly rang out. Ngiet Kwang, that kid. A man was eating instant noodles. He pointed his fork at the person opposite him. I've known for a long time that he wasn't normal. Luckily, I've prepared a lot of countermeasures. Ko Nyanhoa, back in his human form, said, Patriarch, even now I still didn't realize his ambition. The young miss was almost harmed. Kon Nguyet Tam, in front, also spoke up. I was deceived by him too. Dad, how did you find out? Kon Nguyet Tam's father, still holding his noodle cup, laughed. From the first time he spied on your mother bathing, I've been injecting him with special hormones every day. He can't be a real man. Hearing this, Ko Nyanhoa was speechless. Ko Nguyet Tam was confused. Dad, how did you know he spied on someone bathing? He cheerfully pointed his fork forward. You don't need to worry about that. All the people around him lately, both male and female, were sent by me. He thought he was very popular and lived a debauched life, becoming psychologically useless. Ko Nyanhoa, standing behind her, smiled and continued, Of course, I also used a tool to suppress his energy growth. 800 points. It's a big joke among the second generation. Ko Nguyet Tam raised her hand in protest. I don't agree with him, but I just don't understand why you're so strict. Ko Nyanhoa, behind her, was terrified of his boss's plan. Suddenly, his eyes turned cold. A demon. He's been a demon since he was little. When he was 12, he killed a 4-year-old child. As he slurped his noodles, he recounted, "I wasn't in the country at the time. His father, your uncle, Ko Nan Mai, used the Ko family's name to cover it up. He faced no punishment. Putting the noodle cup down, he said, but the Ko family's weakness was exposed. A powerful figure, second only to the director, wanted to control me through Ko Nan Mai, forcing me to hand over all my research results." Konguyet Tam put a hand to her chest, worried. "Dad, are you in danger? I've awakened my ability now. I can help you." Hearing his daughter say this, he beamed with joy. "My daughter awakening her ability is a great joy. I'll throw a celebration party for you in a few days." Suddenly, he became serious and stood up. "Don't worry, I'll meet your uncle later and clear things up. If I have the chance, I want to meet that classmate of yours named Bak Tin. I really want to know more about him." He turned his back, his face darkening, and made a scissor gesture with his hand. "But if he has any crooked thoughts about my beloved daughter, I'll castrate him." Konagyet Tam tried to stop him. "Dad, you'll scare people." He hugged his daughter and glanced at Konan Hoa, who understood and nodded. Konyan Hoa thought to himself, "I'm afraid the Ko family will face a major incident tonight." The two left the research building. Konan Hoa said, "Young miss, you've had a hard day. I'll take you to rest first." Inside the room, Konan Hoa stayed behind. He grabbed a red cloak, thinking, "This is all because I was too engrossed in my research, letting the Branch family seize power. After tonight, the Ko family will either be purged and everything will be back under control, or it will be destroyed, and we'll all disappear together." Next, he held a cat mask. "My daughter survived and escaped the school. The people outside must have received the news. Their plot is exposed, so they don't need to hide anymore." He put on the cloak, his mind racing. "Everyone in the building has been evacuated, and the security system is off. I don't need to hold back when I fight." He put on half of the cat mask. "From now on, anyone who enters this building is definitely not a good person." Suddenly, the eye of the mask opened wide. Then it broke into a sinister smile. He took a monocle from his pocket and placed it over the cat eye. When he put it on, the eye emitted a glow, and his mouth grinned widely. Power of the red raincoat, a #4396. Wearing this raincoat makes you lose your sense of presence, preventing others from noticing you. Your senses enter a doomsday world of endless rain. Power of the half-cat mask, #4496. Wearing this mask gives you cat-like vision. Conceal all your presence, see through hiding spots, and sometimes see things that only cats can see. All-knowing monocle, AHA SON 0081. Focus your vision, and information about the object will appear as text. If unreadable text appears, immediately remove the mask or gouge out your eyes. He sat in a corner, waiting. At this moment, his face took on a sinister look. "These 3 contaminated objects combined, I can hide in the darkness and observe everything. No secret can escape my eyes." After a while, a figure approached. He thought, "As expected, they're here. Who is it?" Bak Tin, invisible, was observing his surroundings. "Strange. No one's here. I just saw Konagyet Tam leave. Where's her father? I definitely heard a voice before." He went to the desk. "I don't have much time. I have to leave a letter here. I hope he sees it." He started writing, "Hello, my name is Bak Tin, and I'm a fan of yours. In consideration for saving your daughter, please provide some useful information." Ko Nan Hoa, hiding in a corner, thought, "Is it that interesting, kid? What bad timing?" He analyzed him, wondering. Name, Bak Tin. Age, 18. Gender, male. Energy level, 642. Ability 1, rebirth 0/1, 2. A. Rank thermal control. 3. B. Rank rock fist. 4. A. Rank dark shadow. 5. C. Rank sound control. 6. A. Rank psychic probe. How can he have so many abilities at once? Is it thanks to some contaminated object? He touched the monocle, deciding to use the all-knowing monocle to check. The cat eye shone brightly. When he saw through to his body, it emitted a powerful red energy. The Mangu inside him glared back. He recoiled in shock, an S-rank contaminated object. He suddenly became excited, laughing as he took off the mask and cloak. "My good son-in-law!" He jumped up and down, praising him. "You actually caught an S-rank contaminated object. Let it out for me to see." Bakhtin was scared and used shield #33 C-rank kinetic force, creating a wall of kinetic energy to block him. He took a closer look and realized, Konyan Hoa, Nuyet Tam's father. Don't get excited. If I recklessly release it, we'll both die. Konyan Hoa didn't care and sighed. Sigh, just let me see it a little. Say what you want to say. He replied, I came here to ask you to study it. Our goals are the same. He thought to himself, being so friendly out of nowhere, if he's not a villain, he's a thief. It's normal for a researcher to go crazy over an S-rank object, but I can't trust him completely. If I'm not careful, I could become a guinea pig. Konan Hoa rummaged through a drawer. I've heard what Konan Hoa said. You have control over its rules, so the danger level isn't high. He was confused. An object that can easily destroy a city, and you say the danger level isn't high? He threw a jellyfish from the drawer at him. Try this. He caught it, and the jellyfish sprayed black ink, making him panic and drop it immediately. Konan Hoa laughed and introduced it. Don't be scared. This is a contaminated object. Prankster jellyfish, Chash75. The side effects are so weak you don't have to worry. It can help you. Konyan Hoa, with his hands in his pockets, looked at him and said, if you don't check again, the floor below will be flooded with this black liquid. Hearing this, Bakhtin shot out a magic thread. The thread wrapped around the jellyfish's tentacle. Seeing the jellyfish, he was a bit wary. Konyan Hoa continued. C-rank sealed object, prankster. He held a remote and turned on a map screen behind him. The Western continent is rich in oil, causing endless conflicts between nations. Images of oil extraction and data charts appeared. A small nation discovered a reserve of over 800 million tons. They wanted to secretly extract it, avoiding international agreements to make a huge profit. On the map, the nation was covered by a black patch. A month later, satellites from various countries found the entire nation covered in black. No news came out. It was suspected to be an S+ rank world-ending contamination. An image of the UN Council meeting appeared. The UN met for many days. 8 S-rank sealers led the vanguard, followed by 293 A-rank experts to contain the spread. The whole world joined hands to fight the crisis. The result? A paper boat carrying them sailed through a vast black sea. The 8 S-rank sealers arrived, risking their lives. The small nation was covered in a black liquid. No one survived. The jellyfish floated on the water, continuously leaking black liquid. It was then hit. The sealers used all their strength to create a sealing box and put it inside. The Black Sea then disappeared. Bakhtin looked at the jellyfish again as Konan Hoa continued, it was quite a storm. Who would have thought this little guy could destroy a whole country in a month? Prankster jellyfish, C-rank. Trait, continuously releases black water, spreading everywhere. He pointed at the jellyfish. Put it where you're hiding the bull. Only space can seal it, and the traits of the two will suppress each other. Suddenly, he froze. Suppressing traits, the entire space can sense the outside world. The bull inside can continuously absorb colors from the outside. So the shadow I'm using to block its vision will be constantly draining my energy. He imagined the jellyfish using its black water to block the bull. The black liquid, a derivative of the jellyfish, a type of contamination, spreading through the space, can it replace the shadow? He frowned suspiciously. If the traits collide, will it produce any new changes? Konan Hoa, with an octopus tentacle sticking out of his mouth, replied, to fight contamination, you can only use contamination. There's no other way, right? He pulled an octopus from his mouth and explained, Raging octopus, C-rank, trait. Its body grows rapidly, occupying half the space. If you put it in your stomach, you only need to eat half to feel full. My daughter wants to lose weight, but I won't lend it to her. Holding the octopus, Konan Hoa said happily, if you throw it into space, it will overwhelm the galaxy, occupying half the space. He then walked over and presented his research. This species has minor side effects. They are strong but numerous contaminated species. Then he approached him with a sinister smile and suggested, so how about trading that bull for it? Bakhtin thought helplessly. He just gave me a jellyfish and already wants to make a profit. He glanced at the cat mask and cloak he had seen earlier, thinking, it just appeared. He used the raincoat to hide and observe before. It could also be used for a sneak attack on Fo Hai Kim. Suddenly, Bakhtin raised his hand and refused. I can't trade it now. It's very important to me. Konan Hoa was disappointed. You're not even going to look? Suddenly, he suspected something serious and yelled, "Or do you want to trade for my daughter?" He held out his hands defensively and shouted, "No, absolutely not." Bakhtin was silent. After calming down, Konan Hoa held up the all-knowing monocle. "It's fine if you don't want to trade. This, do you want to take it?" He felt awkward. "No need. One sealed object is already great." Konyan Hoa's face became serious and tense. "This is for my daughter. You have a lot of potential. Don't die. It can help you." He held the monocle, contemplating. He opened the barrier and threw the jellyfish inside. When the barrier disappeared, he raised his arm in surprise. "I can feel it. The jellyfish is starting to release black water. The drain rate of the shadow is slowing down." Konan Hoa turned around and shooed him away. "You should go. Although I still have many questions, I'm a bit busy today. I won't see you out." He pointed forward. "It's faster if you leave from there. Go on." Konyan Hoa's face darkened as he threatened, "I've known for a long time that there's no one good in this world, except for my daughter. If you harm her, the consequences will be unimaginable." He opened the door and turned his head to reply, "Don't worry. I will cherish her." In his heart, he was worried. His attitude suddenly changed and he's kicking me out. Is something wrong? He spread his large white wings and stood on the windowsill, thinking, forget it. Some things are better left unasked. He flew away, his eyes glowing, considering, I still can't fight against Fo Hai Kim's capitalist cronies. I'll go see Ngayat Tam and then hide. First, I need to collect 1,000 abilities. Then I can reach my goal of 100 W vision. Open. Back with Konyan Hoa, he opened a box containing a mysterious hand. Found it. He picked up the hand, his face smug. The tyrant's hand. A-rank seal. Giving him the all-knowing monocle was the second option of the experiment. Konyan Hoa put on the cloak again and said, "You're here again." From the screen, 3 figures approached. He was excited. My younger brother, Konan Mai. The leader, Konan Mai, had a confident face. Konan Mai, B-rank, ability unknown, level 1,997. Behind him was Koloi Min, A-rank ability, snake staff, level 4,321. The one in the hood walking alongside was Tronkon, A-rank, ability Zoo, level 13,496. Finally, the girl, Tonmu 2, A-rank, ability White Electric Spider, level 8,745. Konan Hoa observed them and whispered, "So many experts came. No wonder they're not scared." He put on the half-cat mask. "Careful. If you want to chase me, don't be stingy with your contaminated toys." The more contaminated power humanity uses, the faster it will be destroyed. He still held the mysterious hand tightly. My research is definitely correct. I shouldn't use it until it's successful. Farewell, everyone. At Kon Nguyet Tam's house, Konan Hoa was guarding the gate. Kon Nguyet Tam was sitting on a chair in a large room. She was clipping her toenails. Just as she clipped one, she heard a knock on the door. She turned her head, puzzled. Who is it? A voice came from outside. Ah, Bakhtin. Konan Hoa, who was guarding below, suddenly heard a loud explosion from the villa, which startled him. The wall was destroyed just like that, leaving only a cloud of black smoke. And Bakhtin, with his upper body burnt black, was yelling, "It hurts so much!" Nguyet Tam, seeing him in such a state, was extremely panicked. "Ah, are you okay? You're completely burnt. Let me get some bandages." The more panicked she was, the calmer he became. "Thanks, but no need. It's because I have a healing ability. I can do it myself. Just a good chance to test out some skill effects." Then he used his abilities. #29, Smooth Skin, C rank, which makes the skin smooth for a short time, reducing friction. #31. Super Recovery, F rank, a self-healing ability that permanently consumes energy. The system lays out his options. Bone Regeneration is a C rank skill, but his current bones are intact. Since he lost his arm times before, times getting the skill, it can't be restored. Rebirth is a D rank. Magic Healing is C rank. And Perfect Recovery is D rank. My guy has 3 usable healing abilities right now. In a flash, he's back to his original form. Nguyet Tam sighs in relief. "Good thing I had enough power. You really wanted me dead, didn't you? That's why you were so ruthless." Bakhtin just looks at her and goes, "It wasn't on purpose." "You scared me. What was I supposed to do?" She frowns, remembering the chaos. I swear I heard your voice, but when I turned around, all I saw were these massive tentacles outside the window. I thought it was a monster mimicking your voice to lure me in." At this, Bakhtin cracks a smile and explains, "The tentacles have suction cups, makes opening windows super convenient." But even after seeing him fully restored, she's still skeptical. "How can you be Bakhtin? Your hair was completely burned off? How did it grow back? Even your scorched clothes are fixed." Our boy doesn't have time for this 2-0 questions game. He's got to bounce. "Believe what you want. I've confirmed you're okay, so I'm out." Hearing this, Inget Tom's face falls. "I thought I'd never get the chance to thank you in person. When I passed out, I had no idea what you went through. I couldn't help you at all, and I even got your arm destroyed." Even with a missing arm, this gigachad keeps a positive attitude. "Don't worry about me. The arm situation? Easy fix." Inget Tam immediately grabs her phone and calls her family's butler. "Uncle Manhwa, can you come here for a second? I'm fine. I got myself under control. Also, is your left arm still usable?" Hearing her say that, Bakhtin feels a little weirded out. He quickly steps in. "Don't bother. I've got my own plans." With a flex, his wings spring out from his back. Before leaving, Bakhtin gives her a final nod. "This is it for now. I really have to go." The system chimes in. Feather wings. Ngiat Tam can't let him leave like this. She rushes over and grabs his hand. "Don't go yet. I haven't even thanked you properly. Let me change, and we can go get dinner together." Bakhtin hesitates at her offer. He knows Buchan could be hunting him right now, if he wastes any more time, but Ngiat Tam is already running off. "Wait a minute. I'll be right back." A storm of questions floods his mind. His ability is prediction. Finding me should be a piece of cake. Running farther is useless, so maybe not chasing me is also part of his plan. He thinks it over. That's right, he predicted I would run, so did he go to my destination to wait for me? No, that's not it. He'd know that. I'd guess he'd predict my location. He'd also know I'd prepare unknown countermeasures to fight against his prediction, so he's on his way right now. Or maybe the timing isn't right for him to chase me. Maybe he'll wait a few months to make his move. No, I'm too important to him. So, after running through a dozen theories, Bakhtin comes to one conclusion. This dude plays dirty. Trying to outthink a guy like that is pointless. Unless he can get face-to-face and use his psychic probe, but even that is probably within his predictions. Just then, Ingiet Tam returns, fully changed. "Let's go!" Seeing her looking a little worried, our boy decides to stop overthinking and agrees immediately. "All right, let's go." But his eyes freeze when he gets a good look at how stunning Ingiet Tam is. She gives him a playful wink. It's better to enjoy the present than worry about the future, right? Keep a clear head. That way, when trouble comes, you can face it in your best state. Am I right? He can't help but smile back. "You're right. Let's go. Where are we eating? We should fly. And just a heads up, I'm broke, so you're treating." For some reason, Nguyen Tam blushes at his suggestion. "Fly? You mean like in a comic book? You're gonna hold me and fly? That's a little..." Of course, that's not what Bakhtin meant at all. He points towards a spaceship with immense pride. Nah. A man's romance is a spaceship, a 2-seater cockpit. It's awesome. Down below, Nanhoa can only watch as the two of them soar into the sky. They pick a massive restaurant for their meal. Bakhtin acts like a total gentleman. "You like buffets?" She beams. "I've always wanted to try, but my dad never let me. I'll use you as an excuse today." Bakhtin grins. "All right then, let's eat till we drop." I like the sound of that. She starts with a delicate slice of cake as an appetizer. Staring thoughtfully at the small piece, she says quietly, "After my powers awakened, I've had a lot of thoughts." Our boy simply advises her that it might come with some serious side effects. Her eyes flash with determination. "I'm willing to try. With my dad and you here, nothing will happen." I passed out from just one thermal cannon blast. Doesn't that make my awakened ability totally pointless? Her willpower is off the charts right now. She knows that if she succeeds, she can help her father, help Bakhtin, and help so many other people. Seeing that ambition in her eyes, Bakhtin gives her a nod of encouragement. "Go for it. I've got my healing abilities ready just in case." Fast forward a bit, and the table is now piled high with an insane number of empty plates. Her appetite is staggering. The system explains she's extracting calories from food and storing them as a solid in her body, then using her ability to empty her stomach and increase her intake. She's eaten enough to make everyone stare, but she's not done yet. "Bakhtin, are you full? Let's keep going. I'm only half full." She glares at the onlookers. What are you all looking at? Never seen a girl eat a lot before? Nguyet Tam is ecstatic. I've never felt so refreshed. I used to worry about getting fat after one bite. My stomach shrank over time, so I couldn't eat much even when I saw good food. I absolutely love this ability. Bak Tin, on the other hand, is getting worried for her. He thinks she's going to have a meltdown when she looks in the mirror. I better find an ability to help her get her figure back. Bak Tin starts scrolling through his massive list of powers, looking for something useful. Number 12, compression. Could it compress fat into a thin layer? Number 20, illusion creation. Can it create a disguise without changing body size? Number 35, body decomposition. Number 63, object connection. Could he just move the fat somewhere else? Just as she suggests getting some fruit, she complains, "Why is the seat so tight?" This sends Bak Tin into a panic. "Wait, I'll get it for you." Our boy is just trying to prevent a potential breakdown. What if she starts crying? I should probably grab some napkins too. As he takes a few steps, he accidentally steps in a small puddle of water on the floor. At first, Bak Tin doesn't think anything of it and just walks past. But then, ripples start to form on the water's surface. What's even creepier is that his reflection is clearly visible in the puddle, but it's wearing a bizarre, twisted smile. By the time he gets the plate of fruit and heads back to the table, he steps right into the same puddle again. But this time, his entire body is suddenly dragged down into it. He vanishes completely, leaving no trace behind. Nguyet Tam, completely oblivious, just thinks to herself, Bak Tin is taking a long time. Meanwhile, in another dimension, Bak Tin's eyes are wide with panic. He'd been suddenly yanked into this place. And, by some bizarre magic, he was now in the middle of a vast ocean. Bak Tin is free-falling through the air. One of his arms morphs into a tentacle. He starts to freak out as his descent speed increases. Wings, as if, on command, a pair of huge white wings sprouts from his back. For a second, it looks like he's saved, but then he realizes with horror, they won't flap! Not giving up, he waves his hand, and golden threads shoot out, forming nets in the air. He screams, "Spaceship!" But it's no use. The threads instantly snap and drift away. Witnessing this, Bak Tin grits his teeth. I've been played. This is a no-fly zone. Flight is forbidden here. He looks down at the endless ocean about to swallow him whole. Falling from this height into the sea, even if I don't die, I'll be seriously injured. All my other abilities are useless too. Bak Tin presses his fingers to his temple, activating his power. A golden aura instantly envelops his entire body. Enhancement skill, activate. A series of notifications rings out. D-rank enhancement, D-rank physical enhancement, E-rank ability enhancement, E-rank sensitivity enhancement. With each buff, his body transforms again. First, it bulks up. Then a layer of hard rock forms over his skin. Finally, massive tentacles wrap around his entire body for protection. Bak Tin's eyes are filled with determination as he gives the command, "Summon everything." Instantly, countless different animals appear, forming a living suit of armor around his body. Snakes, dogs, and his tentacles swell to an even more massive size. But it seems he's still not satisfied. He calculates in his head, still not enough. He activates compression, cranking up the air density to increase friction. Bak Tin grins. Done. I've used everything I've got. A strange object now hangs in the sky, wrapped in enormous tentacles, glowing like a fireball from the aura surrounding it. Bak Tin braces for impact. I'm out of tricks. The object plummets closer and closer to the sea. He hypes himself up. Thanks to my classmates, I have water element control, underwater breathing, and regeneration. I'm so OP now. There's no way I can die. Bak Tin keeps thinking, the real question is, who's the one that set me up? Beneath the waves, a creature witnesses the scene unfold. It reports to two people below who are breathing inside a transparent bubble. It turns its head down and orders, "Get ready. You two take him on." The girl inside the bubble rests her chin on her hand and replies, "Dibs on any ceiling artifacts and ability crystals." The blue-haired man next to her responds, "They're all yours. I just need the upgrade crystals." Hearing this, the girl raises her hand, summoning her energy. "Activate Iron Plunder." Suddenly, a creature that looks like an octopus appears before her. She assesses it. This ceiling artifact isn't bad. Its intensity is low, so it's not very useful. Also, got a Flamejet ability crystal worth 473 and an energy upgrade crystal worth 219. The man beside her looks at the 2 gems in his hand with delight. All right, this is enough for the array. Seeing that they're ready, the creature smiles. Good. After he's dead, everything is mine. Get ready. Suddenly, it freezes, confused. Huh? His Flamejet ability was stolen, wasn't it? Then how? Up in the sky, Bakhtin's entire body has burst into flames, a crimson fire enveloping him. Bakhtin grinds his teeth. The jellyfish suddenly vanished, did he recall it? He covers his eye. No, there's an enemy. It's not Konanhoa's psychic probe. Activate, find them now. Under the water, the other 2 are getting impatient. What? This bitch is fast. Who knows how much stuff she's already taken? Ugh, when is he gonna show up? Just you wait, Huang Thi clan. This trash tier flame ability, I need to upgrade it. I need more upgrades. Bakhtin clutches his face, gritting his teeth. So there really is someone pulling the strings. He extends his hand. Shadow clone. A dark shadow appears and dives straight into the water. The sea creature panics. No, that's a fake. A decoy. It screams and whips its tail. Jiaonan Tuyen Hoa. It moves within a massive whirlpool. My whirlpool isn't easy to enter. The second he falls in, he'll be torn to shreds. But the dark shadow just dives straight down. It grabs onto the creature's tail. At that moment, the real Bakhtin, wreathed in flames, plunges into the water. He chases after the creature. Bakhtin successfully grabs its head, his eyes burning with hatred. The creature screams, "It's me!" No more words. Bakhtin crushes its head instantly. Blood splatters everywhere. Perfect. Witnessing this, he thinks, "Then Gyuma is corrupting my body, but I can use its rules to my advantage. I'll use the shadow clone to mask my colors, and for a split second, I'll trigger the rule, and I'll be the one in control." Suddenly, Bakhtin whips his head around. There's movement behind him. The man appears, surrounded by dangerous bubbles, A-rank, sealing artifact, golden and silver coiling serpent statues. It's a rule-based poison type. The gold poison corrodes the entire body, and the silver poison makes your flesh and bones rot. Bakhtin thinks, can't let them touch me. The man challenges him, you think not touching them will keep you safe? He gives the order, burst! Instantly, the bubbles explode, spreading a potent toxin through the water. He laughs maniacally. Let's see if you die this time. Bakhtin clenches his fist, calculating. Compress the seawater. Block the poison for me. Currents of water immediately form in front of him, deflecting the toxins before they can reach him. But right after, the poison finds a way to seep through. You think you can escape the rules of a sealing artifact that easily? Bakhtin thinks, the only way to fight a contaminated being is with another contaminated being, right? With that, he laughs out loud. New Ma manifestation. Time to absorb this clown's power. Red liquid starts surging towards the man. Suddenly, the sea turns blood red. A scream echoes out, contamination zone! Bakhtin's tentacles have now turned jet black and swelled to an even more massive size. Seeing this, the man shouts in horror, what the hell are you? Why do you have contamination matter hidden under your skin? Terrified, he thinks. B1, rank sealing artifact, strands of the lost wind. Anything it touches will be randomly teleported anywhere on the planet. I can't escape Kinnugumong, but hopefully I can escape this place. Suddenly, the gem in his hand vanishes. Tiehoa, inside her bubble, speaks up. Trying to run alone? In your dreams. It's mine now. With that, she crushes the gem. She immediately falls into a coma. Seeing this, the man smirks. B-rank item, essence of the god, forsaken breath. Inhaling it induces a coma for 3 days and 3 nights. Extremely effective against fleshy, contaminated objects. He scoffs, you idiot. You think I'd pull out my real treasure in front of a thief? With a final word, he crushes a blue gem. This is the real lost wind. Bakhtin watches as the man prepares to vanish right before his eyes. But in the end, nothing changes. The man is stunned. I can't escape, I don't believe it. He commands, use them all at once. Get me out of here, now. The gems disappear one by one, but nothing happens. He cries out in panic, I'm cooked this time. He keeps trying to find a way out. When that bastard Huangdiam dragged me into Kinnumong, were the sealing artifacts in my hand already trapped? He checks his inventory. 3 parts God, forsaken breath, 6 parts lost wind, 4 parts bloodthirsty fog, 9 parts bone, melting blood, 2 parts body regeneration, 1 part rebirth water drop. He realizes with horror, I have way too few attack options. He looks up at Bakhtin. I have to kill him, even if he doesn't have long to live. An out-of-control contaminated object can still use its rules. If he uses them erratically right before he dies, it'll be extremely dangerous. Bakhtin speaks, his voice calm. This feels strange. The entire contamination zone is right in the palm of my hand. He seems to read the man's thoughts, looking over at his opponent. Huh? You want to kill me? I think you're the one with a death wish. He gives a command, and it's like a revelation. Instant movement based on instinct without consuming energy. So this is how the Yuma speed blitzes its victims. In the blink of an eye, Bakhtin appears behind him. The man is flabbergasted. Teleportation? Not even the lost wind is that fast. Bakhtin, energy gathering in his hand, explains, moving objects to other places within the zone is also allowed. The energy in his hand grows larger and larger. The man thinks in terror. This is bad. Out of options, he throws all his items at his opponent. But Bakhtin is faster, summoning a portal with a wave of his hand. It swallows all the items whole. Our boy taunts him, your stuff is pretty good. My cow will like it. Let him check it out first. He continues, giving a final order. As for you, disappear. Powerless, the man watches the energy blast hit him. He screams in agony, no! No! He cries out his last words in bitterness, I don't want to leave here. I still have so much to do. That bastard, Kwang Diem. With that, he turns into an item and falls into Bakhtin's hand. Our boy is satisfied. Not a bad haul for an unexpected fight. Next, he approaches the comatose Tia Hoa. He assesses her power. Not a bad ability. Can steal any ability, energy, and any object from others. It can complement the God-given hand. He thinks, but to activate this ability, do I need her arm? Without hesitation, Bakhtin rips an arm off the unconscious girl in front of him. He immediately starts the grafting process, a smug look on his face as the new arm slowly becomes his own. Bakhtin sighs contentedly. It's been a while since I've had 2 hands. He grabs the octopus from before and throws it towards the portal. Over here, get in. Bakhtin smirks. Once the jellyfish is back in the spatial backpack, its black ink will once again blind the Nguma king. He continues, using my new ability to control the bubbles, combined with the information I just read from his mind, these things are extracts of sealed items, and they're highly effective consumables. The items appear one by one. The pink one is God-forsaken breath, an extract from a B-rank sealed item that puts the target in a coma for 3 days. Next is the lost wind, an extract from a B-rank sealed item that teleports the target to a random location. Next up is bloodthirsty fog, the poison egg of a C-rank sealed item that turns the target into a bloodthirsty creature. Then there's bone-melting blood, a part of a C-rank sealed item that melts the target, leaving only blood and bones. After that is body regeneration, the fluid of a B-rank sealed item that allows the body to be reborn once. Finally, the rebirth water drop, of unknown origin, extremely rare, can bring you back to life at a certain point in time. Bakhtin looks at the item in his hand. Good stuff. Another life-saving measure now that Puskin has appeared. He crosses his arms, thinking, time to figure a way out of here. Miss Nugget Tam is still waiting for me. This place is called the A-rank contamination zone. Kin Nu Mong. What a humble name. This dude was trapped here by a guy named Huang Diem for 2 weeks. The woman named Kong Tiu Hoa was only captured a week ago. Just then, he turns around and realizes the unconscious Kong Tu Hoa has vanished. He frantically searches for her. In Gimka Bang's memory, besides the 3 of them, there were over 10 other sealers. Did someone rescue her? Bakhtin opens his shirt, a troubling thought crossing his mind. The ink has obscured the Mangyo's vision, but my body... He panics. It's been completely contaminated. Bakhtin anxiously looks around, searching for an escape route. Konan Hoa's method won't work anymore. It seems only a true rule can counter the Nguma. I can only rely on myself. With that, he continues. First, let's start from here. The lower half of Bakhtin's body suddenly transforms into that of a merman. He pushes off powerfully, swimming towards the surface. First things first, I have to get out of this spot. Bakhtin's face is set with determination. Then, I'll find the others who are trapped here and gather information. Anyone who dares stand in my way will be annihilated. I'll gather all their power. With that, Bakhtin shoots across the surface of the sea, kicking up massive waves. Suddenly, he stops. A flag? He looks at the countless whale carcasses. Kin Nugumong, an A-rank contaminated object. Is this supposed to mean something? Bakhtin observes his surroundings. According to the rules, this is the center of the trap. I need to investigate carefully. Suddenly, a voice calls out, "Don't come any closer." Bakhtin looks up to see a boat on the surface. Someone's here? My ability can actually hear voices from across the water? He immediately swims up to investigate, breaking the surface. Was that you talking just now? A woman with golden hair suddenly appears on the boat. Oh, you can hear me? That's great. I was just trying to warn you. I saved your life. Now, sell me some food. You have food, right? Bakhtin rubs his chin. Food. Well, I did bring a plate of fruit with me when I came in. The girl's voice trembles as she speaks. Are you new here, or do you take money? How about 100,000? It's okay if the food isn't fresh. Bakhtin crosses his arms. I don't need money. Tell me how you knew I was new and how you can see through the seawater. The person on the boat replies, only someone new would abuse their powers like that, causing such huge waves. The people who have been here for a while can't do that because once their energy is used, it can't be restored. Hearing this, Bakhtin thinks, so she has clairvoyance. Interesting. He asks another question. If you're so short on food, why don't you just catch 1 or 2 of those fish for meat? If you want to die quickly, go ahead and try after our deal. Bakhtin summons a bee that continuously drips golden honey. I can give you a little food, but I need a lot of information in return. The woman on the boat sees the honey and eagerly reaches out. Besides moving underwater, you can also create food? That's perfect. There's someone here who wanted to sell me a regenerated leg for 10 million, but I don't want to eat human flesh. The scene shifts, the sea becoming unnaturally calm. The girl savors every drop of honey with a look of pure bliss. Just when I was about to go crazy from hunger, I met you. This is amazing. She licks her lips and activates her ability. I am Tontuvi, Vice President of the Tonti Merchant Guild. Give me all the honey you have. I can trade you for anything you see here. Her mind is racing. Step 1. Bakhtin points and asks, everything? Including your bow? Tuvi replies cheerfully, sure, that's possible. It just depends on your total energy level. Bakhtin feigns disgust. I regret it. I need to think about this a little more. Suddenly, Tuvi gets uncomfortably close. Any price is negotiable. She continues thinking, Step 2. But Bakhtin coldly pushes her away. I'm not interested in you. Tell me how to get out of here. Tuvi looks hurt, her eyes welling up with tears. A way out? If there was one, who would want to stay here? Tuvi closes in again. If we really can't get out, would you be willing to stay by my side and protect me for the rest of our lives? She thinks. Step 3. The Tonti family is the only one who can enter Kin Nu Mong. If I have a subordinate to command, maybe I can even wait for reinforcements. My persuasion ability has succeeded countless times. After just 3 steps, I can make most people willing to be my loyal servant. But Bakhtin isn't falling for it. He instantly grabs her by the neck. Unfortunately for you, I have an ability called Psychic Probe, and I carelessly forgot to turn it off. When using this ability, it also forms a mental shield that blocks psychic attacks. Tuvi screams, "What are you doing?" Bakhtin's face is ice cold. I originally wanted to leave quickly, but someone here isn't behaving very well. Looks like the only option is to clean up the trash. Hearing this, Tuvi's face contorts in fear. She screams, "Don't! Spare me! I'll do anything for you!" Bakhtin smirks. Really? I don't believe your promises. Now, relax. Don't refuse my gift. The scene widens, showing the vast, empty ocean. Tuvi sits on one side of the boat, thinking dark thoughts. A family that monopolizes all resources to think there's someone like this. He said he was giving me a gift, but the result is, Bakhtin, sitting on the other side, extends his hand. I need all the information. Start talking. Defeated, Tuvi begins to spill everything. Kin Nu Mong is an indestructible contaminated object. Its rules are unbreakable, no way out, no food, and consumed energy cannot be restored. There's no day or night cycle, no living creatures other than the whales, and no land. This place is a prison for sealers, used by the Huang family to imprison their rivals. Hearing this, Bakhtin asks, "The Huang family? I think I might have pissed them off too. 2V replies, the Kwang family's main business is assassination, and they're also hired to kill people who aren't from the 6 great families. Bakhtin continues, do the 6 families include the Ko family? What's the relationship between the Ko and Huang families? Tuvai answers, Tonthi's business is commerce, Ko's is research, Kwang's is assassination, Nyim's is sealing and trading sealed artifacts, and Kong's is alchemy. There's also another rather mysterious family. With that, Bakhtin stands up and gives an order. Let's go. Tuvai is confused. Go where? Bakhtin replies, to pay a visit. The sealers from those 6 families, they must be starving by now, right? It's time to execute your business plan. I want the abilities and powers of everyone here. 2V is worried. Even if you were the strongest in the world, it's useless here. We can't escape. Bakhtin doesn't care. This is my request. You will obey. Left with no choice, 2V can only reply, as you command. Bakhtin thinks to himself, this might be an A-rank contamination zone, but inside me is an S-rank Nyuma. If it doesn't work, I'll just kill all the whales and give it a shot. If I can't get stronger here and just leave, I bet someone on the outside would be very happy, wouldn't they, Fo Hai Kim? At a school still smoldering from a fire, a voice rings out. What a tragedy. Not a single living person left in the whole school. A crowd gathers to survey the scene. Police, cars, ambulances, and fire trucks arrive simultaneously. The same voice speaks again. Where's the sealing artifact used in the test? I can't sense it at all. Below, a perimeter of emergency vehicles and people is formed. The voice belongs to Lam Kai. She's in a car with a principal named Fo Hai Kim. He explains, the items used for the test were just a few derivatives. They were all destroyed in the Kim Gyu Sung Tu. Lam Kai asks, as the principal, aren't you going to the scene to explain things? Outside the car, a crowd of people are wailing and screaming in grief. My child! I'll make you pay with your lives. My son had the makings of a great emperor. How could he die in a place like this? What kind of test was this? Get the person in charge out here. Inside the car, he calmly continues, in the era of contaminated beings, one must get used to loss. Let's go. The presence of the 2 in the car gradually fades. Lam Kai is amazed. Sealing artifact. Memory signal. The signal point can be transmitted to at any time. It's really convenient. In an instant, the 2 are teleported to the principal's office. He replies, convenient? The transmission consumes lifespan based on the time and distance from the memory point. She says nonchalantly, no wonder the Ko family does research and doesn't acknowledge sealing artifacts. They say something about hurting yourself 1,000,000 times to defeat 1,000 enemies. Lam Kai continues, luckily, my golden blood can seal any contagious creature. The Kim Nyu Sung Tu was sealed by me, which is how I got my reputation. He bows his head, his expression cold. But that 1,000 could open the door for humanity's survival at a critical moment. Fo Hai Kim approaches a bookshelf and begins to open it. It's a secret passage, revealing a hidden room. He steps inside slowly, looking puzzled. He has been reborn. And yet he didn't discover this place at all. Lam Kai is shocked. Even the reincarnator was predicted by you. She walks over to a cabinet and thinks, all my blood was used here. Looks like there's a lot of good stuff. He turns to explain, it's not just a simple prediction. He adds, I'm talking to myself at every point in time. He places his hand on a crystal ball. His image is clearly reflected on the ball's surface. Contaminated item, Sorcerer's Crystal Ball. Inside is a small world that can be entered. It can display any scene from a future prediction. With the same expression, he adds, when I inject different levels of energy, it becomes a fixed communication space between me and myself. Lam Kai replies in fear, you're telling me your biggest secret just like that? You're going to silence me, aren't you? No wonder you treated me to such a nice dinner. A blinding light shines from the ball between them. Follow me. She falls into some unknown space and screams, if you want to make a move, then bring it on. Even if you're the director, I won't submit so easily. She springs up, looking around in shock, to see 3 versions of Fo Hai Kim standing around her. The doctor version speaks, you're overthinking it, Lam Kai. The principal version, Buskin, then adds, you are very important. A critical link in this plan. The 3rd version, wearing a brown hat, spreads his arms wide and declares, today I will ascend to godhood and end this era of contamination. Do you believe me? Staring at the 3 old Fo Hai Kims in front of her, She's completely terrified and baffled. Who can understand what you guys are talking about? The Pushkin and Doctor versions gesture towards the coffins behind them. Go take a look. She cautiously approaches to examine them. That is, staring at two coffins containing two corpses of Bak Tin and two golden arms, she screams in absolute terror. This is... The principal, Pushkin, speaks. This is his past. The Doctor version approaches and adds, this is his future. The remaining Fohai Kim in the brown hat kneels near the coffin and says, and we still need his present. Lam Kai can't help but wonder how this is possible. This is too incredible. Standing from a distance, she asks, this is one person's past and future. How can you confirm that these bodies aren't just contaminated beings in disguise. He continues to explain, the rules of a contaminated object are greater than any law. If the rule says he's him, then he is. For example, the S-rank contaminated object, the missing town. A-rank sealers hidden in country H infiltrated it, wanting to seal and take it away. But in the end, they lost their human identity. The image of a person with the form of a cat appears. Now she's just a large, humanoid cat. Even her chromosomes have been mutated. The rule says you're not human, so you're not. The rule says Earth doesn't exist, then Earth doesn't exist. Lam Kai trembles in fear. That's terrifying. Humanity could go extinct at any moment. He extends his hand, conjuring something. This moment is the turning point of humanity's destiny. A well then materializes. Contaminated item. Tin Trung Lung Guyet. The scene you most want to see and the scene you least want to see appear in the well with equal frequency. To take something from it, the user must pay a corresponding price. The Dr. Fo Hai Kim, holding two scalpels, approaches the well. The scene from my prediction will be judged by the well as the most desired scene. My prediction, Bak Tin's actions. Behind him are Lam Kai and the principal Pushkin. Pushkin warns her, stay back a bit. Don't let your reflection show in there. Inside the well, the image of Bak Tin standing on a boat gradually appears. He turns back to remind her, Lam Kai, I'm going to take his internal organs and right arm from the well. You use your golden blood to seal it. Understood? The moment he finishes speaking, he plunges the scalpels into the well. Surgical strike, taking the arm first. At that exact moment, Bak Tin flinches. A deep gash appears on his arm, and blood splatters everywhere. Next, all the internal organs. He then pulls a full set of organs out of the well. The brown-hatted Fo Hai Kim immediately cuts his own hand and lets the blood drip into the well. After taking something from the mirror, the price is corresponding blood. He calls out, Lam Kai! She immediately creates a golden orb in her hand. I'm ready. She then throws the orb at Bak Tin's organs. The organs instantly turn golden. He gently places them in a coffin. Poor child. In the future, he will obtain rebirth from 2YC's body. I stopped that flashback in time, took his memories after he died, and transferred them to his present self. The doctor holds up Bak Tin's arm and says, he hasn't been reborn, so why does it feel like he's awakened his power and actively sealed the Kim Gyu? At this moment, Bak Tin loses control and collapses into the sea. Tone 2V screams in shock. Back in the other dimension, Fo Hai Kim smiles. Success. In his past body, we've sealed the one-day cycle contaminated object. Bak Tin's corpse lies there. In his future body, we've sealed the self-splitting contaminated object. Before the sealed organs, and in his present body, the Kim Nyu Sungtia has invaded him. Suddenly, an image of a person riding an ox appears. In the myths of humanity's ancient demise, there is a record of an immortal named Taiso. He could instantly become the past, present, and future, holding a diamond bracelet that could rearrange time and riding a black ox that managed destruction. The rules of the HNU are infinite growth of the contamination field, self-splitting, and using the Kim-Nu, the contamination field can split and expand exponentially. The one-week cycle sets a time point that makes the Kim-Nu, after splitting to its limit, return to its starting point. The principal Pushkin stands before the three coffins with his arms spread wide. These three contaminated objects, placed within Bak Tin's three bodies, the three will merge and use the gift to transfer these three types of rules to me. Dr. Fo Hai Kim continues, humans are so small compared to the universe and contaminated objects. I will expand the contamination zone like a cell, but this cell will multiply indefinitely until it covers the universe and returns to its original state, and so on. The last one, the brown-hatted Fohai Kim, sits slumped against the wall. My dominion now governs the present. My vision monitors both the past and the future. All contamination is sealed by me. All destruction extinguished by me. All three raise their hands and shout in unison, "The true God Tai so returns to the mortal world. Humanity will be eternal." Right now, Bakhtin is sinking to the bottom of the sea. He thinks, as expected, he made his move on me. This familiar, indefensible tactic, it's you, Puskin. He opens his eyes wide. But you think I did nothing? He thinks back. During the teleportation of the Iron Plunder hand, I used Object Link and Body Morph to swap the positions of my left and right hands. Your prediction isn't omnipotent. The organs aren't showing on the outside. My regeneration power is useless. I feel so dizzy. Am I going to die? He continues to sink slowly into the abyss. Suddenly, a bold idea flashes through his mind. If it's come to this, King Nu, lend me your organs for a bit. Activate water element control. Water blade. Bakhtin slashes open the belly of the giant whale. He quickly rips its heart out. Straining, he channels his energy. Compress, compress, compress. He burns 10,000 energy points to shrink the heart to a usable size. He then uses his Object Link skill to insert the Kinnu's heart into his own body. Once it's done, he stands still, feeling the new heart beating in his chest. A smug smile spreads across Bakhtin's face. Puskin, did you get what you wanted? He proceeds to take all of the whale's organs and compress them into his body. Heart, lungs, kidneys, all of it. Compress. He uses all his strength to shove the parts into his body. Activate Extreme Life Swap, Rebirth. Healing Magic, restore to original state, and for the most important part, Object Link. One by one, the whale's organs are perfectly compressed into his body. He looks at his body and laughs triumphantly. Success. Puskin took my heart and liver, so I couldn't use my regeneration power. But the Kinnu's organs brought me back to life and even gave me a power-up. He takes a deep breath, inhaling a huge gulp of water. Then he exhales, creating a massive vortex. On the boat above, Tone 2V is wringing her hands, crying in a panic. What do I do? He was suddenly killed by someone else. Did another new person arrive here? Suddenly, the boat lurches, startling 2Vi. Huh? She screams in terror as the boat is pulled into a whirlpool beneath the water. Underwater, Bakhtin looks at the vortex he created and thinks, after compressing the Kinnu's organs, I can maintain my current strength. Just normal breathing can create ocean currents. But he's also worried. But every time my organs pump, blood shoots through my arteries like a fire hose. I have super high blood pressure now. He floats in the water, contemplating. Should I just maintain Extreme Life Swap and enhancement to adapt my body? A single teleport and I'd be dead. Extreme Life Swap C rank. Upon frequent death, energy will be permanently consumed to heal fatal wounds. And number 57, Body Adaptability Enhancement C rank. The body will adapt to extreme situations facing evolution. You guys are really multi-talented, saved my life again. Suddenly, he darts through the water. The situation is urgent. Maintaining this high pressure in my organs leaves me with a pathetic 1,947 points. Breaking through this heavenly high blood pressure is giving me a headache. I need to solve this quickly. Bukin most likely doesn't know I'm still alive. Getting out of here fast is my best chance for a counterattack. He looks up at the surface. Killing the Kinnu is a death sentence. What is this stupid rule? I still have one more trick up my sleeve. We need to think of a way to compensate. He takes a breath and leaps out of the water, landing in the air to 2V's complete astonishment. He then lands on her boat, the force of the impact shattering part of it. 2V, both scared and worried, asks him, "Are you okay? What happened just now?" Bakhtin, soaking wet and trembling, kneels down. "I'm fine. With the massive blood pump, my stamina and strength have exploded. I've taken a quantum leap in power. Just swinging my leg can cause the muscles to tear from too much force." He uses his regeneration skill and enhances his body's adaptability. Bakhtin raises a hand to reassure her. Every loss has a gain. Now I have to go face Puskin. Maybe I can even take his head off. Let's go find the others. 2V trembles and stammers, "This might not be good." Their boat is half sunk. "The boat's sinking!" It's the Kinnu's organs. They're too heavy." He immediately kicks off the sinking boat and says, "I'll just walk on water." He doesn't get far before he faceplants into the sea. 2Vi is just stunned on the boat. He sinks freely into the ocean. Damn it, I can't control my strength. My nerves give the orders, and the muscles follow them faithfully. But the engine is running way past its specs. His body is sinking again. He jerks up and starts swimming. This body can't adapt this well unless I can get corresponding power. Activate water element control. I'll use water control to move for now. He glides back towards the boat and tells 2V, "Let's go, lead the way, and while you're at it, tell me the rest of those rules you left out." She asks worriedly, "What did you do down there in the water?" He sits down calmly and replies, "An unlucky whale. Swapped organs with it. Is there a problem?" 2Vi panics. "We're screwed! Anyone who kills a King Nu becomes one of them." With a terrified face, 2V shuts her eyes tight. Only one of the fish is the real Kinningu. The others are all transformed humans. Cut to Pushkin's place. Lam Kai is sealing Bakhtin's organs. After a moment, she speaks, sealing complete. Her face is etched with fatigue and worry. "Do you need me for what's next? My blood is low. I need to replenish." The brown-hatted Fohai Kim gestures to her. "Stay back a bit. You must witness the birth of a true god." He holds up a wand, infected teaching staff, a C-rank sealed derivative object. It has only one function, to make the target obey a command for 1 second. That's more than enough. All three of them hold out the wand and shout, "We command you to bestow upon us all the rules of the contaminated objects you possess." In the coffin, Bakhtin's arm moves, forming a white orb in its palm. Then, the hand shoots straight up, lifting the orb. The orb shoots into his own forehead, then into the foreheads of Pushkin and the doctor. Principal Pushkin glows with a purple aura, exclaiming, "Excellent! I can feel the one-day cycle rule. Time will now be rearranged infinitely." The doctor is just as excited. "I can control my own splitting. My body is stirring. I'm not infected, but this rule can't be stopped. Quickly!" The brown-hatted Fohai Kim stands before the coffin. The coffin with the sealed organs. Something is wrong. The other two urge the brown-hatted one, "Quickly! The three bodies must merge to restrain these three rules together." To Lam Kai's surprise, he says coldly, "It failed." He quickly grabs Lam Kai's hand and runs. "Let's go!" After a flash of blue light, the two are back in the present. He looks at Lam Kai and asks, "Still have strength left?" The crystal ball needs to be sealed too. Seeing his urgency, Lam Kai uses her hand to seal the crystal ball. Inside the ball, from Principal Pushkin's perspective, the doctor has split into a grotesque mass of interconnected flesh. Lam Kai looks inside, her face filled with horror. She turns to him and asks, "Why did it fail? I used so much power to seal the items." He looks disappointed and pulls his brown hat down slightly. The rules couldn't restrain each other. The human body cannot handle the complete power of a rule. I couldn't predict Bakhtin's situation. He'll probably be consumed by the Kim Nu, and the power of the gift will be stolen. No matter what, I can't snatch the map from the mouths of those contaminated beings. Lam Kai shouts in frustration, "You're just giving up like that? Where's my payment?" He slowly walks towards the exit. In countless timelines, I have failed countless times. His face twists with determination. This failure of mine, another me, will continue to press forward. One day, it will be right. Suddenly, he remembers something and turns back to Lam Kai. Country A has used the restrictive rules of derivative creatures in large numbers to create blood-sucking demon soldiers. Are you interested? Now, in a research lab, an eyeball lies rolling on the floor. It failed. The eyeball opens wide, agitated. Why? The scene shifts somewhere else. A person in a red coat speaks. "After putting on the red raincoat, my senses entered the contaminated world. I know this world was created by a contaminated object. It reigns forever, and no one can escape. But, the person is a man wearing half a cat mask. The cat mask gives me the perspective of an infected cat. From the perspective of the contaminant, I can move anywhere in the world of rain. A pair of glasses appears in his hand. The all-knowing glasses can actively ask for a location and get the answer. I can dispatch the cat's senses to find it. A hand in a box emits a purple glow. The glasses were given to Bakhtin, becoming the Hak Hao Trow. It can grant a wish to find the exit and make it happen. On the floor, only a red raincoat, half a cat mask, and the eye remain, looking down. The world of rain is always closed. The cat moves at will, and a third party can surely find the exit with a rule, a restraining rule. The figure with a cat face and human body in a red raincoat stands up, asserting, "If I succeed, I can move freely between the two worlds, dodge any attack, and transfer any object. Even untreatable contaminants can be sealed in the world of rain." Suddenly, the eye spots something. Under the red raincoat is a pair of all-knowing glasses. That's a memory of Bak Tin and Ko Trung Hoa flashes. That naive kid. Two tentacles emerge from its head and take the glasses from the coat pocket. "Give me back the glasses. You don't want to risk keeping new contaminants." The eye continues to think. During the synthesis of the 3 contaminant fragments, a 4th was added. So, what am I now? Now that I've assimilated the all-knowing glasses, let's find the answer together. The eye continues its analysis. Deceased? Only consciousness remains. Soon I will be assimilated by the contaminated object, becoming a contaminated object with consciousness. So, that's how it is. It keeps thinking, I have human thoughts, but I'm not human. In the future, I will do many evil things that I won't be able to control. The eye suddenly darts away. Before that, I must deal with myself, or it will affect my daughter. The eye is enveloped in a red liquid. Entering, the eye quickly passes through a wall and looks down at the people below. Ko Nyan Mai lies dead on the floor, while Ko Loi Min scrambles backward in terror. Seeing Nan Mai like that, he panics. "What happened? It wasn't me!" 2 people walk over. The one in the hat, Tran Kong, kneels to examine the body and barks, "Shut up, we know you didn't do it!" The girl next to him, Ton Mu Tu, scans the area. It was a contaminated object attack. Be careful. At this moment, the eye realizes something. The rule of the Hakao Trowit makes all its wishes come true. The price is the life of the person with the closest blood relation to me. I wish to control all the contaminants on my body at once. And that person was Ko Nan Mai, the closest blood relative who paid the price, my younger brother. It continues its scan. If there are no relatives, let me investigate no relatives. Hakao Trao will randomly change to an equivalent judgment. Same surname, same gender, same amount of hair, same vision, listening to the same song. As if discovering something, indeed, those who hold the rules must die by the rules. Only the bodies of contaminated objects can use the rules freely. Now, Trancon stands up and warns, but the attack was fatal. We don't stand a chance of winning. Ko Loi Min points and cautions. Don't underestimate Ko Nan Hoa. He is the only genius in the Ko family. Before he can finish, Tan Mu Tu kicks him across the room. Noisy. She flexes her leg, surrounded by sparks of blue light. He used something that consumed a lot of contaminants. He hasn't attacked again in a long time, so there must be many restrictions. Loi Min sits on the ground, clutching his stomach in pain. This girl is too strong. One kick sent me flying. Konan Mai, Konguyet Kwang died on the same day. As an elder, I can only work hard to take care of his entire estate for him. Trancone pulls his hat down and says, I have a plan. The 2 people sent here are no pushovers. Trancone's power is the zoo. He has raised beasts of immense power. Loi Min's eyes widen as he silently assesses them. The most outrageous part is that one of the beasts gained a rule after being infected, and it still obeys him. Koni Hoa, what are you fighting someone manipulated by a contaminated object with? A multi-story building appears before them. He left the Ko family's estate, colluded with factions to build a research institute. Logically, he should listen to his elders and use a portion of the estate to revive the family. What a pity, this beautiful building. Trancone looks at Mewtwo and says, every battle is to our disadvantage. She replies, then let's blow this building up. Koloi Min and the Eye hear this and are horrified. Blow it up? Don't! Mewtwo's leg begins to crackle with electricity. She starts to dash forward at high speed. She continues to use her power, White Lightning Seal. The power grows stronger and stronger, her footprints burning into the wall. Loi Min watches this scene in terror. It's over. In just a few seconds, this brat has left her mark on the walls of the entire floor. All she needs to do is, with a composed look, the girl gives the command, detonate all seals. Instantly, a floor of the building explodes. At the same time, Trancon activates his Zoo ability. Zoo, Eagle! An eagle summoned by Trancon flies out. Trancon turns to look at the explosion, a bit confused. Oh, that old man is still alive. Loi Min, trembling, also activates his ability, summoning a giant snake. Fake! Revert to my form and get me out of here! Loi Min looks back at the fire and scoffs. Brother Ko Ni Hoa is finished. I just need to wait patiently to receive the inheritance. Tran Koln stands high above, looking down at the explosion with a triumphant grin. He won't die that easily. Let's wait for him to come out. Suddenly, he freezes, utterly shocked. The two of them are sent back in time to the moment Ko Nan Mai had just died and was lying on the ground. She checks the watch on her hand and exclaims, "Time has been reset. No, time is still moving normally." Tran Khan isn't panicked. He calmly reassures her. Time-related, contaminated objects are not easily controlled by people. He can't have that much patience. The eye also persuades, the power of contaminated objects is terrifying. If you overuse a rule, your consciousness will be violated. Back at the building, because there are many people in the building, many contaminated objects won't be unsealed just because the building explodes. I'll make the simplest wish of the Hakao Chow, limit the scope. Only the contaminated objects in the cabinet upstairs will not be released. The scene of the building exploding replays. The wish was very simple to fulfill, almost no violation occurred. It created an illusion of the floor exploding. The eye is still deep in thought, asserting, "This rule will always be maintained. It cannot be surpassed, especially not by me." Everyone stops to talk and cooperate. From now on, we don't need to use contaminated objects. With a fire of determination, the eye decides, borrow human wisdom to solve a human problem. Trancon looks at Mewtwo, who is standing silently some distance away, and wonders, fight or go? She puts one hand in her pocket and takes out her phone with the other, about to call someone. The enemy is strong. Let's check the progress on the other side first. The phone rings. When the call connects, a voice asks, "How are you guys doing?" She replies, "Haven't seen the target yet. Ko Nan Mai is dead. What about you all?" Somewhere else, a woman in a long blue dress sits on a wicker chair, looking outside, and replies to Mewtwo, "Successfully dealt with one. Didn't waste any effort, just turned him into a King Nu Mong." The woman looks across at a restaurant where a chubby girl with long hair is happily eating a chicken leg by the window. The other target, Ko Nan Hoa's daughter, haven't found her yet. That girl is Nguyen Tam, but she's gotten so overweight they don't recognize her. On the table are stacks of plates she's already eaten. There's still a ton of food left, and she's holding a half-eaten slice of pizza in one hand. In her other hand, she's gnawing on a chicken leg. The woman continues, "I suspect Ko Nan Hoa made the first move, substituting a body double for the target. Only a fool would fall for that trick. Looks like someone else beat us to it. Her body is so deformed." The woman in the blue dress is named Quang Diem. Her power is unknown, a special contaminated creature, Kin Nu Mong. Her face is tired, her tone weak. "I've never killed anyone before, and I don't want to involve mortals. Let's continue to wait for the target to appear." The girl sitting opposite her is Ha Han, Ha Kiet's older sister. She's wearing a white, high-collared, pleated shirt, her short hair held back by a red headband. Her face is trembling, her teeth clenched, clearly furious. But Ha Han, unable to bear it any longer, Ha Han slams both hands on the table, sending a coffee cup flying and spilling everywhere. The saucer clatters. She screams, "Quang Diem, you just sent him in there. Can you guarantee he's dead? I want to see a body." Quang Diem closes her eyes and calmly replies, "Ha Han, anyone who enters King Nu Mong can absolutely not get out. There are no resources inside. Once they lose consciousness, they become a King Nu. You won't be able to see him even if you want to." Ha Han's body is still shaking as she continues, "I'm very sorry your sister died, but it's not certain he was the culprit. We were ordered to eliminate members of the Ko family. We could conveniently send him on his way, but don't forget the main mission." Ha Han can no longer maintain her composure. Tears stream down her face in anguish. "On what grounds? My beautiful sister is dead, and those two are still alive. If he's not the culprit, then he's someone who knows everything. We had already planned to go to the beach together tomorrow." Perhaps because the argument on the other end of the line was too loud, Mewtwo had put it on speaker. Huang Diem, hearing Ha Han's screams, feels helpless. She says to Mewtwo's side, "I'm hanging up now. You guys be busy and be safe." Then, a long dial tone. Mewtwo stands there holding the phone, lost in thought. Behind her, Trancon waits in silence. In the air, Ko Nan Hoa, in his eye form, has heard everything. Vicious. "They want to wipe out the entire family. I have to get over there quickly." No sooner said than done. He hides in the world of rain and flies up to the control room. Ko Nan Hoa bounces on the keyboard like a ping-pong ball. to prevent contaminated objects from escaping. When the house was built, the safety equipment was top-notch. It can seal the entire building with steel walls. Down you go. There's a clanking sound as steel walls descend. The girl, still holding her phone, warily glances behind her. Loi Min also wonders what's happening. Konyan Hoa flies to the window and looks out. I never thought I'd end up using this against humans. The steel walls descend with a loud rumble. This is the key to the absolute seal. I can't let you escape. The three people standing there realize what the sound is. Loi Min leans on his cane without a word. Tran Kon speaks first. The phone call mentioned his daughter. He couldn't hold back and made a move. As expected, he's still watching us. Mewtwo agrees, I can't believe we just got out. And now we might not be able to leave again. With that, she immediately creates the white lightning foot seal, starts running, and marks the places she wants to blow up with long trails of blue lightning. As she runs, she glances back at the blue lightning trails she's leaving, which crackle throughout the room. He looks very pleased and encourages her, good job, blow up the ceiling, jump straight to the top floor surveillance room. After running and marking all the spots she wants to detonate, she crouches and gives the order. The ceiling explodes. Debris of all sizes flies everywhere. A series of blue flashes erupt with a boom. Troncone shouts an order, Duang Lai. A large gray goat's eyes twitch as it hears its name. It uses its large, furry body to leap upwards. Troncone and Mewtwo jump onto its back to escape the crumbling room. He smirks, clinging tightly to the goat, his eyes glinting slyly under his cap. Only 2 more floors to go. Keep up the explosions. 1 shot to the top floor. Nanhua knows what's happening. Flying in the air, he guesses their plan. So they want to come up here that easily. In a dark corner of the room, he quickly flies behind a rectangular box on a table. The contaminated object in that container can't get out, but there are plenty of tools to use. He uses his own body to push the box off the table with a thud. The box falls hard, the lid popping off to reveal an orange octopus inside. The eye looks down at it and calls its name Baktuok An Nor. The octopus crawls out of the box, its body slowly growing larger as it extends its long tentacles. Below, the sound of lightning and exploding debris still rumbles, tearing a hole through the ceiling, a testament to Mewtwo's power. At the same time, the 2 of them jump off the goat's back, warily looking in different directions. He says, this is the place. Then he calls for 3 more wolves. Tam Lang, go. The 3 wolves spread out in 3 directions, their eyes fierce as they advance. Suddenly, he freezes, unable to believe what he's seeing. Appearing before him and the 2 wolves is the orange octopus, now several times larger, waving its tentacles. Unexpectedly, it slams a tentacle down on them with a loud crash. They hastily dodge to the side. The girl, having just dodged, turns and asks him, can you capture animal-shaped contaminated creatures? He, having managed to dodge, now answers, can't do it. I can only tame and raise normal beasts. Even if their genetic restrictions are lifted, they're still just normal creatures. Suddenly, the octopus grows even larger. 3 tentacles inch towards them. This time, the 2 people and 1 wolf are more cautious and quickly retreat. Konyan Hoa, floating above, thinks excitedly. Good, the full-stomach octopus is passed through the hole they made. It has new space to grow. He imagines the octopus expanding to fill the void. They've blown through all the floors here. The octopus's body will grow to be half the size of this building. It will block off every path. He predicts that when it reaches its maximum size, it will crush everything around it. Its soft, huge, and indestructible body will squeeze those 2 to death. Suddenly, he looks down and sees this scene. Oh, this is Tran Kon. On one knee, extends his hand and calls to a wolf, come here, Tran 2. The wolf hears the command and slowly approaches. As it gets near his hand, the wolf suddenly transforms. Above its eyes, 2 more black holes appear, just like its existing pair of eyes. Konyan Hoa, high above, says in astonishment, a contaminated creature. He has taken control of a contaminated creature. He bends down, stroking the wolf's head gently. Chantu, I need your help. The wolf, though unable to speak, replies telepathically, Master, please describe 4 characteristics of the target for me. He immediately thinks of the first point. First, it is approaching us within a height of 3 meters. After receiving the feedback, the first black hole on its head glows with a purple light, confirming the first point has been recognized. At the same time, 3 black dots and 1 glowing purple dot, similar to the wolf's, appear on the foreheads of Tran Khan and Myo2. She quickly states the next characteristic she just thought of. His name is Ko Nan Hoa, gender male. This is characteristic number 2. Tran Khan closes his eyes, his hand still on the wolf's head. Chan-tu can't understand gender, names, or human culture. He needs more precise, detailed characteristics. The person who is chosen with 4 characteristics will light up 4 lights and die instantly. His face darkens, and he says coldly. The second characteristic is 4 black holes also appear around Ko Nan Hoa, one already lit. So that's what they're doing. A must-kill type of rule. Good, very good. Outside the research building, the sky is pitch black. He has thought of a new point and tells the wolf in front of him, Chan-tu. Second characteristic. He is watching you. It processes the information and begins to filter. Ko Nan Hoa starts to panic. This is bad. He's escaped into the world of rain. He's in the world of rain, but it senses the second characteristic is correct. A purple bolt of lightning connects the first glowing dot to the second. Now both black holes are lit. On Chan-tu's head, the 2 upper circles are now purple, along with the 2 black circles below. He looks at the wolf, its whole body glowing with a purple light, and exclaims, "How powerful! Simple and easy to control rules like this are at least B rank. Just use specific characteristics to filter. If all 4 characteristics are met, any object can be destroyed instantly. Even contaminants can't escape." He considers a wider scope. Even escaping reality doesn't grant me immunity. The filtering range should be the entire world. The girl looks at her reflection and sees the result. This time, it was a correct guess, she says loudly. Ah, 2 dots have appeared on my head too. Tran Khan adjusts his cap and glances at her, calmly replying, "It's fine. There are still 2 more characteristics. I'll let you do the next filtering." Seeing the 2 of them still thinking about the remaining characteristics, Ko Nan Hoa, high above, frantically searches for a way out. I can't let him add the 3rd characteristic. He thinks of something and starts to run, not forgetting to call her and the wolf to follow. "Follow me." Arriving at the intended spot, he signals for the other to stop and crouch down. He probably has 2 dots now too. Because she stopped so abruptly, she has to put both hands on the ground to steady herself before asking her question. What about the 3rd dot? We can't even see him right now. Ko Nan Hoa, hiding in the world of rain, hears them talking. "Of course you can't find me," he smirks. "Using the world of rain as a stepping stone, I can easily avoid your sight by moving freely between the 2 worlds." Kneeling under a row of desks to hide, he speculates. The 3rd characteristic is, he points towards a black glass panel. His reflection is on this glass. Tran Khan is surprised because he sees no change. The girl next to him asks, "Have you also turned into 2 dots? Your shadow is on the glass too." He turns to explain to her, "Don't worry, there's still room for error. Some sacrifice is normal. After the 4 dots light up together, Chan-tu will regain its power." She questions, what if, and I'm just saying, what if, he's not here? Maybe he escaped with the help of some sealed artifact. He retorts, Ko Nan Hoa is a researcher, so he's not good at fighting. If our attack is fast enough, the other 2 wolves, one is constantly looking for an exit, while the other sweeps the entire floor. We won't have time to escape. One of the wolves starts running to search. According to Conan Mai's information, I'm sure he's hiding here. Tran Khan leans down again and asks Tran-tu, moreover, Tran-tu's power doesn't stop here. Tell me, how many targets are on this floor right now? It begins to sense and count, reporting the result. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mewtwo looks around and counts again. You, me, 2 wolves, and him. Wait, she looks at the giant octopus and wonders, why is there an octopus? Strange. He turns his head and asserts, Chan-tu doesn't talk nonsense. To be safe, I'll state 2 characteristics at the same time and use a saturation attack to kill him in one blow. Suddenly, he reconsiders. Wait a minute, I'm constantly throwing out rules just for him to hear, forcing him to counterattack and reveal his weaknesses and intelligence. Is he really here? And there's also a suspicious octopus. A flood of thoughts rushes through his mind, confusing him. Don't panic. First, think of 2 remaining characteristics that we can both avoid. He is using a sealed object. I also fit this requirement. Deformed from using a sealed object, he is currently standing still. No, the moment I say it, he can react. Trancon looks up at the giant creature. And then there's it might hold a clue. On Konanhoa's side, another circle lights up. A spark of lightning crackles, connecting the three circles. He's getting desperate. This type of contaminated object, he's very good at using rules. I don't want to be cornered. He flies near the giant octopus, analyzing the situation. The first characteristic was being hit without any means of defense. The second was grasping the psychology of doubt. Hiding in the world of rain, still couldn't avoid it. The third characteristic information, through the exit, he spied on us without flinching. Human intellect is limitless. No talent should be underestimated. His caution means he probably has other plans ready. He's figured it out. But you want to use leaked information to provoke a reaction and then grasp my course of action? This also allows me to seize the opening. Looking at the octopus in front of him, the full-stomach octopus, as its rule, is to occupy half of the current space and be able to communicate with the owner of the current space. As the master who carried it in my belly for months, I had it use its tentacles to cover the pattern on its head when the first strokes appeared. The execution of a contaminant's rules is absolute, and the small, docile octopuses are easily trapped by their vision. Between the octopus's eyes, only 2 circles are lit. The full-stomach octopus only has 2 dots. The characteristics it was targeted by are 1 and 3. Because it's a contaminated object that enforces its own rules, it won't see other contaminants. He flies down under the tentacles, looking for a suitable spot. He's betting that I'm nearby and wants to provoke me with Tran2's intelligence, communicating to me like a child that, I know you're here. The fact that I escaped into the world of rain, indeed, Tran2's statistics have reached me. Konyanhoa decides to use the octopus to hide. The tables have turned. It's time for a counterattack. Octopus, let me hide inside your body. A voice emanates from the octopus's direction, attracting Trancon's attention and making him turn to look at it. Stop, let's talk this out. They stare at the octopus before them. He's surprised. It can talk? Mietu is also shocked. That's just an octopus. She frowns, her leg crackling with electricity as she gets into a running stance. We should have realized sooner that he was playing tricks on us from behind. He couldn't hide, so he turned into an octopus. Watch me crush him. He raises a hand to stop her. Wait a minute. Let's hear what he has to say. Hiding under the octopus, he scoffs. Heh, you've already lost. The octopus rises, its eyes wide, tentacles twitching, and a voice speaks. I'm just a researcher. I don't want to fight you people. Let the ones behind you negotiate. Hearing this, he replies, negotiations can only happen if both sides have equal power. A fish on a chopping block has no right to speak. The octopus waves a tentacle, pointing between its eyes. Right now, we both have 2 dots. If I use a contamination rule to turn into an octopus, it won't be easy to kill me. He looks serious, confused. Only 2 dots? Is it missing a characteristic? He approaches, looking closely at the octopus, thinking, just 1 or 2 characteristics, 9 times out of 10, a normal person would fall for it. But why didn't the third characteristic, reflection, hit? He urges, trying to disrupt his train of thought, you should think faster, smart guy. The faster you go down the wrong path, the faster you die. Trancon doesn't believe a word, focusing on figuring out what went wrong. No, the number of targets Tran2 reported was indeed 5. If he just hit in the octopus, shouldn't the number be 6? 5 means that he and the octopus are considered the same target by Tran2. As the giant creature moves, it accidentally reveals something. Oh, is that a red raincoat? He's figured it out. Ah, I know. I almost fell into his trap. Hiding inside the octopus and merging with the octopus, he did both. Reanalyzing the problem from the beginning. After 1 dot lit up, he hurriedly put on the red raincoat and hid under the octopus's body. As a result, he lost his vision and didn't see Tran2. After realizing the threat of Tran2, he merged with the octopus, hoping to use a contamination rule to avoid being instantly killed by Tran2. Mewtwo kneels and slams her hand on the ground, releasing crackling electricity. White power grid sensor, she shouts. Besides the octopus, I don't sense the existence of a 6th creature containing electricity. He confirms, Tran2 confirms that the characteristics you met are 1 and 3. He gestures to the 3 wolves waiting behind him. Wolfpack, tear this octopus apart. The 3 wolves simultaneously leap in, biting and tearing at the octopus, their mouths snarling fiercely. He asks, "You still want to kill me? Why?" The giant creature is unable to escape the wolf pack, letting them bite off chunks of its flesh. He continues to scream, "Why? Why?" Feeling unsafe, Konanhoa, covered in a viscous fluid, shoots out from the octopus. I merged with the octopus and lost my body, turning into this ghostly form. "Why won't you let me go?" While the poor creature is being destroyed by the wolves, he sees the eye fly out and hastily reaches for it, trying to catch it. "Get back here!" He flies away quickly. Due to my condition, I have a lot of contaminants. All the rules I've discovered, I'll give them all to you. Just spare my life. But how could Trancon let him go? You don't have a chance. Seeing the cabinets containing contaminated objects ahead, it gets the idea to dash towards them and try to get inside. He thinks desperately, "Fly closer! Hide! I have to hide in the world of rain!" By the time the two of them arrive, it is already slammed into a drawer with a splat, leaving a pile of slime. He reaches out, about to touch the slime-covered drawer. He hid inside. His hand actually touches the cabinet handle. He smirks, victorious. Deception, mistakes, analytical thinking, desire, greed, calmness, impulsiveness, humans. There's a magic that surpasses all souls, and at the same time, a way to embrace death hidden under all sorts of ideas. Ton Mewtwo walks closer to Trancon. "So, did you catch him?" But he doesn't answer, not even turning to look at her, which confuses Mewtwo. Konyanhoa sees her and thinks, "There's still a woman left. I can't give her time to think." With that thought, he instantly teleports. In a flash, Nanhua appears behind Mewtwo without her noticing. He laughs loudly to attract attention. "Ha ha ha ha! You can't catch me! In this form, I'm extremely agile!" A white sneaker-clad foot quickly spins around. True to the saying, quick as lightning, Mewtwo lunges straight at Konanhoa. In an instant, her hand is about to grab him, making Nanhua scream. So fast! He hastily retreats into a yellow cabinet door, not forgetting to taunt her. "If you've got the guts, come find me inside this cabinet." Mewtwo quickly changes the direction of her hand, her palm now on the cabinet handle. Suddenly, her whole body freezes, her eyes becoming lifeless. Nanhua teleports into the air behind the two. The eye glances at the two people frozen in place. Are they dead? Seeing no movement, he approaches to check on Ton Mewtwo. Her heart is still beating. It seems her consciousness has been wiped clean. He then floats over to Trancon, sighing internally. Humans can't fight against rules. This cabinet became a contaminant because a rule was set. The cabinet must not be opened. The sealing measure was to place it in an absolutely safe place, so it couldn't be opened. Nanhua recalls the events from earlier when the building was about to explode for the first time. The cabinet made them hallucinate and give up because the building's collapse would indirectly violate its inherent rule. He looks at the two whose consciousness has been erased. He continues to think, but now they really wanted to open this cabinet, so the cabinet directly prevented them from even having the thought to open it. If their idea wasn't, "I must open the cabinet," but rather, "Let's just open it and see," they probably would have just fainted or lost their memory. With everything settled, Nanhua turns his attention to the mangled octopus lying motionless to the side. In short, the crisis is over. First, let's fix up a new octopus. Then, release it, and it will soon grow as big as a mountain. He approaches to examine the octopus's body. Contaminated objects don't die, even if they're ground into powder. They will still obey their rules in powder form. Luckily, its growth rate doesn't double every second. Behind Nanhua, a wolf with 4 empty eye sockets stands silently. He doesn't notice it, still focused on the octopus, thinking, "My precious daughter is still waiting for me. She's very smart, and she has newly awakened abilities. So she will definitely survive." He senses something and turns around, startled. Why is this wolf still here? Nanhua looks at the wolf, confused. Its master, who gave it the mission, is dead. Could it be that the mission has been reset? Suddenly, one of its 4 eye sockets lights up, surprising him. The spot that didn't have a dot just now is lit up. It must be about to start killing. Elsewhere, Ko Loi-min is pacing in a room, leaning on his cane. Konanhoa, that rotten brat, he actually dared to look down on me. He offended that person. He's probably dead by now. As he looks around, Loi-min's mood improves even more. What a wonderful building. A wonderful building. Even better, both brothers are gone now. Konanhoa still has a daughter. right? Don't you worry, I'll treat your daughter very well. He glances to the side and sees his reflection in a mirror. Loi Min quickly notices something unusual on his face, which makes him stop. What is this? Right in the middle of Loi Min's forehead, the same dot-like holes from the wolf's face appear. The second one is now lit. Unaware of the imminent danger, he looks on nonchalantly. Is Ko Manhwa playing tricks on me? The eyes light up one by one. The third. Then, as the fourth hole lights up, forming a square, Loi Min feels a sudden impact so fast that he only has time to utter one sentence. In a flash, Loi Min collapses to the ground, dead. Back on the other side, Manhwa watches as the light in the wolf's eye socket disappears, leaving 4 empty black holes. 4 lit dots that concludes one round, and then it turns off. He looks up at the screen to confirm his suspicion. As expected, the old man is dead. Manhwa looks at the wolf, which has been silent all this time, and thinks, its rule is that the master designates someone with 4 characteristics, and it will kill all matching targets for the master. After its master died, its rule changed. 4 characteristics appear together and destroy the target. As he's thinking, one of the wolf's black holes starts to light up again. This game without the master's control, isn't it just randomly killing people? The situation is spiraling out of control. Manhwa flies around in the air. I have to stop it. Maybe I can try putting ceiling objects in the cabinet. Possible solutions flash through his mind, only to be quickly discarded. The easy tier doll disrupts counting. The infinite erase computer. The blinding cloth. No. I can't blindly let 2 contaminated materials collide. An easy tier doll. Disrupting the count could make the number 4 appear continuously. A computer that can reset indefinitely might not be able to reset it. And a blinding cloth could reduce the 4 characteristic conditions to 3. Time is limited. Manhwa darts forward, saying, safe, controllable, reversible, there's only one way. In a flash, just before the last hole lights up, he manages to fly in and fill the empty space. I wish I could use this consciousness and body to prevent the 4th characteristic from being completed. At this moment, 3 holes are lit, with the last one filled by Manhwa himself. He's overjoyed to discover, it stopped! Before he can celebrate, reality hits him with a blow, forcing him to calm down. No, it's constantly asking me about the 4th characteristic. It's trying to use the all-knowing prism. It seems like it's trying to control me. Under the wolf's influence, something begins to sway his mind. Let the other humans die, because my daughter is still waiting for me. But if contaminated objects are allowed to kill people at will the human part inside me still exist? The first question arises, and a frantic struggle begins in Manhwa's heart. He constantly doubts himself. No, it can't be. In this world, people are dying every second, and my daughter is the only one this is wrong. Only when humans kill each other can a king be born. The love that humans have for their children is true love, and it only exists in humans. Humans are slaves to their genes, and genes make them value blood ties. What is a human? Am I human? But right now, I'm... Meanwhile, elsewhere, in the middle of the vast ocean, a loud voice rings out. Come over here! Tone 2V sits in a small boat, pointing ahead for Bak Tin. Do you see that big ship floating on the sea over there? In the distance, a large ship appears on the sea. She tells him a person with abilities from the Kong family is also imprisoned there. His ability is Ship Contract. He can bind his life to the ship and control it at will. Looking at the wooden ship that resembles an ancient pirate vessel, Bak Tin can't understand what those people were thinking. Why not contract with a stronger ship, like build an aircraft carrier or something? 2V explains, he was a key figure in the Kong family's maritime gold mining business, so he was imprisoned by that bitch Huang Diem as soon as he reached A-rank potential. Hearing this, Bak Tin turns to ask, damn, these internal power struggles are so complicated. Is your case the same? She replies, yes, I was actually just promoted to vice president of the Tonthi Merchant Guild. He stands up, looking at 2Vi with disinterest. I don't care about boring human power struggles. Tell me about some powerful figures. At this, a few names pop into her head, making 2Vi's face turn pale with fear. Besides Kong Hao with the ship contract, there's also the A-rank mouth cannon Nyim Vi, the A-rank Vajra body Kong Ha Ao, and the S-rank life giver Trung Lao. Also, there are some people in the cabins who never come out. The large ship floats peacefully on the sea, with a swarm of whales surfacing below it. The place where their ship stopped is the center of Kin Nu Mong, with the largest number of whales. With outside resources and new people, many of them will land at the center. At this point, she recalls a memory, hugging herself in panic. The Tone Thief family has no power here. After they stripped me of all my assets, they gave me a small boat and left me to fend for myself. Otherwise, they would have eaten me. Bok Tin grins and reassures her. The reason they didn't eat you right away is because they want to get out but don't dare to try. But now it's different. You've got me protecting you. He looks towards the large ship and says loudly, "Get ready to board." A pair of feet glides across the water's surface. He leaps onto the large ship. Bok Tin lands with a heavy thud, splintering the ship's deck. He looks up. 3 sailors on deck jeer at him. "Oh, what does that scoundrel Huang Diem want now?" Neem V, A rank, mouth cannon ability, power level 6084, looks down at him arrogantly. "Another newbie? What a pain." Kong Ha Ao, A rank, Vajrabadi, power level 9983 chimes in. "Don't say that. We're bored anyway. Hopefully, he can give us a little fun." Kong Hao, A rank, ship contract, power level 21,569, looks down from above with a frown. A new face. "Young man, which family are you from?" Bok Tin, unfazed, confidently replies, "I'm not from any family. I heard you guys are pretty tough, so I came to check it out." Suddenly, Ngim V opens his mouth and inhales the surrounding air. Bok Tin is startled. "What are you trying to do?" He then opens his mouth wide and unleashes that massive blast of air forward. As the blast of power heads straight for Tontu V, she's terrified. Bok Tin now realizes they have no intention of making a deal. In a place with no social rules, they are the rules. Tontu V's face is filled with fear as she thinks, "I'm going to die." At the same time, Bok Tin uses his power to create a fire character. C rank, sound control, sonic boom, activate. The character flies faster than the air blast. It intercepts Ngim V's power, destroying the small boat in the process. Ngim Vi witnesses this in disbelief. "Huh?" The wreckage of the boat floats on the water with no sign of anyone. Tontu V is protected by a magic bubble, sinking beneath the waves. She sighs in relief. "I'm not dead? He saved me? He actually saved me?" I, who understands the art of persuasion best, deliberately changed the subject and hid information, basically trying to get him killed. Tontu V frowns in thought. What is he trying to do? One person against a whole ship? He still dares? Does he really believe my words that much? Why is he so foolish? She looks up at the ship and prays, "Please survive." On the ship, Bok Tin smirks and calculates instantaneous sound control. A bubble of air was created to wrap around her. Then I used water element control to send her to the bottom of the sea. My ability to combine multiple combat methods is getting more and more refined. He raises his hand and says, "Gentlemen, there's no need for intimidation tactics. If you want to fight, just say so. I can take you on." Bok Tin narrows his eyes and summons a honey-dripping bee onto his hand. "I need information to leave this place, and I have what you need." Ngim Vi crosses his arms arrogantly. "Very interesting. Sound control, huh? I've met my match. But you're still a bit weaker than my mouth cannon. If you can compete with me, it means your level is very high." Bok Tin, his hand covered in honey, replies cheerfully, "Even if it's a low-level ability, you should still follow the rules. Your ability isn't bad. It would be great if you could give it to me." He internally judges, "You're quite humble. Everyone knows that power is related to the user." The most classic ability evolution line: F rank concussion, E rank push, D rank constant thrust, B rank instantaneous movement, S rank wormhole manager, SSS rank self-space. As long as you're strong enough, even a concussion can rupture self-space. Bok Tin is direct. "I understand what you mean, but what I want to express is also just the literal meaning of the words." Suddenly, Kong Ha Ao comes over and puts an arm around his shoulder. Intrigued. This brother really has a knack for gathering information. If so, then I'll give you a choice. Bok Tin glances at him. He grins, his eyes slightly open. "First, contact your elders outside. Have them send things over, no matter what they send to ransom you. Second, give us sincere information about the contaminated objects outside. Third, become food." Bok Tin turns his head, puzzled. "No option for cooperation?" Ngim Vi and Kong Ha Ao burst out laughing in disdain. You probably don't know the captain's reputation. Don't you know how miraculous Life Giver is? Did you actually believe what Mouth Cannon was joking about? A low-level ability will forever be low-level, but an S-rank ability user is an existence that can be called a demigod. Kong Ha-ao holds up a dry branch to prove his point. See this? After this branch is granted life, it will be reborn. It can be used as food. Neem V also holds up a piece of bread with a face on it. Although this was originally a baguette, it can regenerate and has the flavor of meat. Kong Hao pulls up his sleeve to reveal a hand with a face on it. I prefer a longer texture. Kong Ha-ao puts a hand on his hip and scoffs. You want to rely on the power of creating food to trade for equal status? That's just delusional. Bok Tin waves his hand sarcastically. I get it. In a dog-eat-dog place, there's no reasoning, right? I hope you don't eat me. But Vi, behind him, praises, good. The young man is sensible and obedient. Kong Ha-ao continues with a laugh. He who understands the times is a wise man. So, if you're given a chance to get out, will you choose to contact your elders? Suddenly, Bok Tin's eyes turn red, his face darkens menacingly, and he snarls. My choice? I choose to eat all of you. He immediately unleashes a fist straight at Kong Ha-ao. He couldn't react in time and took the full force of the punch. Kong Ha-ao is sent flying. Ouch! That's a lot of power. Neem Vi suddenly gets excited and yells, You want to resist? Looks like you're eager to become food. Bok Tin, his fists stained with the other guy's blood and his eyes ice cold, replies, I have enemies out there waiting for my revenge, so I wanted to save energy and borrow your powers peacefully. He swiftly crouches down, calculating. But from the beginning, the phrase, I am a whale, has been echoing in my mind this whole time. It's so annoying. Another life-threatening situation. He uses his power, activating D-rank Flame, Jet, and Push. Flames shoot out from the soles of his feet, turning them into 2 rockets that launch him at Kong Ha-ao. Whales can't fly. Is this place a no-fly zone? Bok Tin kicks him right in the ribs. Then, he excitedly extends his hand, activating D-rank Plant Growth. The withered branch in his pocket suddenly flies out, surprising him. What the? It grows to a giant size and wraps around Kong Ha-ao. Ha-ao struggles and screams in panic. Ah! Bok Tin's eyes flash again. You want to counterattack? I won't give you the chance. Laser Beam, E-rank. Kong Ha-ao roars. Vajra Body. A golden aura surrounds him. Bok Tin's eyes fire a laser beam straight at Ha-ao. Ha-ao is in pain. A strong ability user, how can they be limited to one combat method? He struggles to free his arm and shouts, Chi Manifestation Vajra Sword! A blast of energy from his arm shoots at Bok Tin, but he dodges it. Combining Push and a wall of fire, he pushes it away. Kong Ha-ao breaks free from the binds and attacks him relentlessly. He reacts to every move in time. Bok Tin is excited. Not bad. If I can get his Vajra body power, my body can unleash another level of strength from my internal organs. Kong Ha-ao shouts angrily, You're pushing it too far! Bok Tin ignores him, using his eyes to fire a laser beam straight at him. Ha-ao is completely unfazed and boasts, Nice try. I don't know where you got these low-level abilities, but they're like a fly scratching an itch. They do basically no damage to me. He expands his power and smiles. Energy levels can't be restored here. Let's see how long you can run around and waste it like that. Bok Tin smirks. Psychic Hand. A massive magical hand appears and moves towards Ha-ao. C-rank telekinesis. Ha-ao is stunned. The hand grabs the sphere containing him. He panics. Ouch! Our boy flies off, holding the sphere, and heads out to sea. Wah! The 2 sailors below shout, Kong Ha-ao has been captured. How can one person have so many abilities? Neem Vi turns his head and orders, After them! He's trying to split us up! Kong now stops him. We must stay at this position. Have you forgotten whose order this was? Neem Vi doesn't care and goes to a small boat by the sea. Give me the small boat. I'll go myself. He then jumps into the boat and rows away, ignoring Kong Nao's words. Kong Nao puts a hand to his head. I'll use a bit of my will to control the boat and take you there. Hold on tight. Don't let the boat capsize. The boat automatically moves away. Meanwhile, out in the middle of the sea, Bok Tin drops Ha-ao. He lands with a splash. Ack! Ha-ao threatens him angrily. You think you can deal with me this way? Just let me land on solid ground, and I'll tear you to shreds. Bok Tin flies over to him and smiles. All right then. His feet touch the surface of the water. Heat control, absorb. Suddenly, the water turns to ice. Ha'ao falls onto the ice platform. He growls, "Fine. To have such an ability, you must be well suited for survival here. But unfortunately, the ship that's starting a new era is already full." Our boy is unfazed, smiling. "What?" This confuses him. "Hey, what do you mean with that arrogant expression?" Bakhtin elbows his power sphere. Ha'ao is surprised. When he fails to break it, he boasts, "You want to break my Vajra body with your bare fists? You must be dreaming." Bakhtin's expression doesn't change. Rock fist. His arm is suddenly covered in stone shards. He frowns and says, "Compress." A purple light glows, and his arm turns into solid rock. Then Bakhtin forms a fist and punches Ha'a's power sphere, causing a small crack to appear. He's scared. "That's too much power," he stammers. "Whatever you want, we can talk about it." Our boy pulls his hand back and says, "The biggest thing isn't strength, it's explosive force." He then continuously pummels him. "You're right, there are many low-level abilities. It seems like they can cover everything, but in reality, they're very difficult to use." The power sphere shows cracks. I was thinking, if a person has enough abilities and enough power, can they handle contaminated objects more easily? Turns out, no, because someone already taught me a lesson. Bakhtin's eyes are ice cold as he roars, "I don't even know where that person is, what distant contaminated zone they're in, but they took all my internal organs and an arm. Only a contaminated object could do that." Ha'ao's power sphere shatters. He's shocked. Bakhtin immediately uses his own tentacles. He binds Ha'ao tightly and demands, "Contaminated objects, I need more contaminated objects. Tell me, or you die." He trembles and replies, "My energy level here has dropped to 10,000. I can't fight you now. Information about contaminated objects is a family secret." Without another word, Bakhtin punches him in the stomach. He coughs up blood. Psychic probe, I can feel his thoughts through his expressions. Ha'a's eyes are bloodshot, his mouth full of blood. "Spare me! I'll talk! I'll talk!" Bakhtin scoffs. Don't bother. I already know." He pulls the source of power from his body. Number 68. Vajra Body. A rank. Power level plus 9,980 A. Then Bakhtin throws him into the sea. Ha'a's bloodied body sinks into the deep ocean. He opens his eyes, thinking, once you die, you become... A whale slowly descends into the ocean. Up above, Bakhtin activates his C-rank 8-sided vision. Psychic probe worked just as I expected. A blast of air appears behind him. He glances over. The ice shatters. In the distance, Gimvai is furious. "You bastard! You actually dared to kill Kong Ha'ao?" Bakhtin, his body glowing, makes a tempting offer. Want to trade information for your life?" On the boat, he stands up and roars, "You have no idea how big of a crime you've just committed. Come back with me and face Captain Trung Lao's judgment. Otherwise, just you wait." Bakhtin lifts his leg and launches himself forward. He kicks him right in the head, sending blood flying everywhere. After finishing him off, he quickly flies away, whispering, "So weak. A bunch of weaklings. Fighting them one by one is such a waste of time." Hopefully, that captain can recognize the situation. He gets a notification. Number 9. Mouth Cannon, A rank, power level plus 6,084. Suddenly, after flying for a bit, he starts to tremble, gritting his teeth. Hurry up! Hurry up! I can't hold on much longer. Even though I survive by using the whale's organs, it's still trying to alter my consciousness. Get out of my head! I am not a whale. I am not. I am Bakhtin. A moment later, Kong Nao is surprised to see Bakhtin fly towards him. He lands with a powerful thud, sending wooden planks flying. Kong Nao trembles in fear, asking, "Why are you the only one back? Where are the others?" Without a word, our boy uses his stone hand and smashes his face into a mast. He roars, "Trung Lao, right? Get out here!" Just then, someone steps forward, their voice calm. "Wait, let's talk first." A golden-haired man walks out from the ship's cabin and introduces himself. "Hello, I am Trung Lao, former captain of the Sealer Squad. Now, I am the captain of this ship." His face is handsome. "It seems you've eaten whale meat, haven't you? It's tormenting you quite a bit." Bakhtin glares at him. "Cut the crap. I want your ability, and I'll give you a way out of here." Trung Lao's face lights up. "Little brother, you've caught my attention. but it's not the good kind of attention. Bok Tin's voice is serious as he throws Kong Ngao aside. You can't beat me. Don't force me to make a move. No one can help you. The other people on the ship probably can't wake up, can they? Trung Lao is surprisingly impressed. That's amazing. A newcomer who has already understood the rules so well? He turns into the ship and continues. But I can tell you, you're not the only one who understands the rules. Trung Lao looks up and glances at him. We're not leaving, simply because we don't want to. I'm here to create a new era for humanity. Trung Lao turns his head and extends an inviting hand. Join me. You are a talent, and I am someone who greatly values your abilities. Bok Tin looks at him with contempt. I killed 2 of your subordinates. They died pathetic deaths. Not to mention, and you still dare to offer me an invitation? Trung Lao's eyes well up. In this whale's dream, no one really dies. They are just immersed in dreams like the whales. Bok Tin raises his stone arm and asks, want to team up? Give me your ability. It's called Life Giver, isn't it? Hearing this, Trung Lao scoffs at him. Copying, stealing, then devouring. You must be very proud of that, right? Well then, let me show you something interesting first. With that, he boasts, Vajrabadi. His body is covered by a circle of light. Bok Tin steps back in surprise. Suddenly, his eyes flash. Next is the evolution of the laser eye, C rank ability, light-emitting eyes. His body glows, causing Bok Tin to be blinded and scream, this is bad. Not stopping there, he continues his attack. Mouth cannon. A cannon appears, preparing to fire at him. Bok Tin shouts, Vajrabadi, open! His body is covered by a source of energy. Suddenly, the cannon attacks him, sending him flying off the ship. Trung Lao says, Iron Hand Prison. A giant iron hand appears. He slowly approaches. The ironclad hand moves towards him. He panics. Trung Lao clenches his fist, and Bok Tin's body is bound, unable to move. So, are you ready to sit down and talk properly now? Bok Tin's eyes are wary. Body morph. His body turns into a liquid and flows down. Bok Tin touches the iron hand. Metal morph. The giant hand instantly changes shape. It becomes a large sword. Bok Tin boasts, It's my turn to attack now. He shouts, Cloud and mist weather. The surroundings are covered in fog. Trung Lao's expression changes slightly. Amazing. How many more abilities are you hiding? In an instant, a thick fog envelops the entire ship. Bok Tin moves quickly. Trung Lao winks and points a finger to the sky. Let's see how you deal with this move. An electric current appears on his fingertip. He then points forward. A rank ability, lightning summon. Suddenly, a massive bolt of lightning strikes down from the sky towards him. This is really bad, he yells in alarm. My head is turned into a lightning rod. Bok Tin holds the sword, bearing the brunt of the electric current. Lightning spirit. He's in pain, his eyes calculating. The B-rank lightning spirit can't completely nullify A-rank lightning. Trung Lao witnesses this and asks with satisfaction, Are you all right? Let's continue. Lightning summon. Bok Tin holds the sword in front of his face. Metal morph. He screams, Psychic power! The blade transforms into a barrage of throwing knives that fly downwards. Combined with the incoming lightning, they head straight for Trung Lao. He calmly says, Intangibility. The knives change direction and hit somewhere else. Trung Lao turns his head and praises, It's incredible that so many abilities can be switched so quickly and combined so simply and easily. What else can you do? Bok Tin, standing high above, replies, The number and level of abilities you use also excite me greatly. He raises his hand and says, This fog doesn't seem to have any effect. Let's disperse it, shall we? Bok Tin frowns, considering. Is he also someone with multiple abilities? That's unlikely. What about Life Giver, then? He observes his opponent closely. The ones who could use Vajrabadi and Mouth Cannon were both killed by me. Could it be that when another ability user dies, he gets their ability? Bok Tin looks at the trembling Kong Ngao and uses his power. Activate Psychic Probe. A stream of thoughts flows from his mind. No wonder he's the captain. This is the driving force to create a new era. Our abilities will shine in your hands. This kid might be able to bring the captain a breakthrough. Bok Tin looks out at the sea and scoffs. An idiot with no real information. Tone Tu Vai. Deep in the ocean, suddenly hears a voice. Tu Vai, Iron Hand Prison, Lightning Summon, and Intangibility. Do you know the people who possess these abilities? Tontu V, confused, recounts, "Can you hear what I'm saying? I know. They are all recently missing members of the 6 great families, and they are all newly awakened A-rank geniuses." After hearing this, Bakhtin realizes something. I see. What a dirty trick. He notices a small insect slowly crawling out from where the throwing knives landed. As soon as the knives were thrown, a ghost insect climbed down below. Then it went into the room. "I killed 2 ghost insects, only 1 is left. Let's circle around to the cabin. I want to verify if the other ability users are still alive." His eyes fill with hatred as he judges Trung Lao. If my guess is correct, then this Trung Lao is a contaminated object. 1. In the whale's dream. 2. The abilities of outsiders. 3. After they die. 4. He obtains them. Among these 4 points, the one that most likely allows him to have so many abilities is the rule of the whale's dream. Bakhtin naturally understands the rules of the whale's dream very well. First, hurting and killing the whale will cause you to die and be cognitively contaminated. Therefore, you must constantly resist. If you fail, you become a whale. Second, losing consciousness, falling into a coma, or entering a dream will make you disappear from this place. But you can absolutely not leave this place. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a prison for the 6 great families. Or perhaps there is a deeper dream within this dream. And the final point, the third, only rules that the whale understands can be applied, stemming from the inability to fly. And I guess the 4th rule is the core rule and the key to why the whale's dream has become a prison. So, in his judgment, humans cannot wake up from a whale's dream. Only a whale can wake up from another whale's dream. This, when linked with the fact that when a whale dreams it is sleeping, creates a dream within a dream. Even if humans are contaminated and turn into whales, they will repeat this rule and never wake up. He looks at Trung Lao on the opposite side, thinking, but under such rules, how can he still find loopholes and manipulate the rules? At the same time, Bakhtin spots something peeking out over there, the ghost insect. The moment he saw it, he knew his previous deductions were correct. As expected, the missing members of the 6 great families in the cabin are all sound asleep, but they haven't turned into whales. At this point, Bakhtin quickly formulates a plan. What if I put all the sleeping people into my spatial backpack and take them away? Or should I drain all their abilities first? As he's thinking, he sees Trung Lao suddenly make a hand gesture, as if preparing some spell, making him wonder, what does he want to do? Kong now looks extremely excited to see him do this. I haven't seen that move in a long time. A second later, he turns to mock our boy. What are you looking at? You can't learn it. What kind of person doesn't even have a right hand? This makes Bakhtin seethe with anger, vowing to kill him first later. Trung Lao seems very confident in this technique, a smug smile on his face as he says to him, "Then let's use this move to decide the winner. After I win, you will be mine, and I won't treat you badly." Bakhtin obviously has no interest in this, immediately refusing. "In your dreams, I will never submit to another person, even if I die. I want to see what makes you so arrogant." His words enraged him. In an instant, he raises his hand high, and the ship immediately begins to shake violently. Kong now, on the side, cheers enthusiastically. This is considered the strongest attack among A-level techniques. Even an A-level contamination field would be split apart. And this technique is called the Divine Slashing Blade. To give a brief introduction, in human history, there have been godlike existences born. This blade was originally borrowed from the shadow of a deity. It can sever rules. The blade appears, carrying an extremely powerful charge, continuously emitting high-power electric sparks. Without a moment's hesitation, he directly swings the blade at Bakhtin, startling him. His face gradually contorts from its terrifying power. He must have borrowed this blade when he discovered the rules of the whale's dream. In response to Trung Lao's divine slashing blade, Bakhtin decides to use his bubbles. The Lost Wind technique was his choice this time. Lost Wind is a derivative compound of the B-rank sealed object Lost Wind, which causes the target to be randomly teleported. When the two immense powers collided, it created a shockwave that rattled everything around them. In the end, Trung Lao was still a bit stronger, sending our boy flying backward. A smug smile remains on his lips. I can use a maximum of 2 abilities at the same time. With your help, my plan will be much more complete. After that divine slashing blade, he quickly uses another A-rank ability, Light Barrier. It can be cast anywhere there is light. No matter can escape before it is broken. With this series of techniques, Trung Lao was convinced that Bak Tin would sooner or later have to submit to him. Relying on the derivative objects of the Ngim family, how many more times can you run? Let's sit down and talk. But he was bound to be disappointed. Our boy reappears looking cool and replies, I already refused, didn't I? Are you deaf? After speaking, he dives straight into the sea. As soon as he hit the water, Bak Tin immediately recognized what was before him, cloud and mist weather. Trung Lao, on the ship, still speaks from a position of superiority. Did you think that after using the barrier and borrowing the blade at the same time, I wouldn't be able to use a third ability to see through obstacles? Kong Ngao doesn't see it that way. He thinks it's unnecessary. The divine slashing blade will automatically lock onto the target. The captain rarely condescends to invite you, but instead of drinking the wine of invitation, you want to drink the wine of punishment. You truly deserve to die. He says this, unaware that our boy has already ambushed him from behind.